Chapter 537. Han Fei came, stood on the deck of the 5th floor, and walked towards Ruan Yu step by step. And those peak-level dangling fissures on the 5th floor didn't expect that the rain could turn into knives. Besides, this kind of knife was extremely sharp and tore their protective cover in the blink of an eye. When the rain fell on them, many people knew that they were done for. They had seen what happened to the black-robed man. No one wanted to end up like him, vomiting and having diarrhea, dying from a broken liver and intestines. So these peak-level dangling fissures all released their spiritual energy, trying to shake the rain away. However, what made them despair was that it was not rain at all. It was clearly a knife. Han Fei walked in the heavy rain, and not a drop of water fell on him. This was the first time that Han Fei had used the infinity water so unscrupulously. This supreme treasure, which buried the entire heavenly desolate city, gave full play to its advantage at this moment. Where there is water, there is a knife. The infinity water showed its domineering power at this moment. Although with Han Fei's current ability to control the infinity water, he might not be able to directly kill these peak-level dangling fissures. But Han Fei didn't need it at all. As they all expected, the rain was poisonous, the poison of the Poison King. The previous Poison King was just a test by Han Fei. As a result, Han Fei used a seal on it. Around Ruan Yu, a large blue array appeared. At this moment, a strange scene appeared on the top of the entire dragon boat. Heavy rain poured down, but it didn't fall on the 4th floor at all. The streams of water rolled back to the sky, surging to the blue array or pouncing on the peak-level dangling fissures. Clank, 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 the blue array, flickering slightly, seemed to be about to be broken by the infinity water at any time. Puff! Puff, ew! Han Fei glanced at these peak-level dangling fissures in disgust. Get out of here and find anti-poison fruits. Maybe they can save your lives. As soon as Han Fei said this, all the peak-level dangling fissures on the top of the boat, except for those protected by the blue array, ran away. They had to run. This was a race against time. If they were one step slower, they would follow in the footsteps of the black-robed man. Han Fei looked at Ruan Yu with a smile. Were you the one who wanted to kill me? Ruan Yu's expression did not change. Instead, he stretched out a hand from the array and caught a few drops of rain. Han Fei's eyes narrowed slightly. The infinity water would gradually become stronger with his growth. Even if it could not reach the level of a peak spiritual weapon at the moment, ordinary people could resist it with their physical bodies, and they would be pierced by the knife light like those people just now. However, not only was Ruan Yu fine, but he also took the initiative to absorb the raindrops. After feeling for a while, Ruan Yu frowned slightly. He found that his body was a little uncomfortable. The poison was so strong that even he had to resist it. Han Fei immediately took a deep breath. Are you injecting drugs into my body? Han Fei didn't know what to say. He didn't move but let the infinity water attack the blue array. Having stayed in the level 3 fishery for so long, Han Fei had long realized that there was no array in the world that couldn't be cracked. If you can't break it, then either your attack isn't strong enough, or your attack time isn't long enough. For example, the protective array of the Heavenly Desolation City. Wasn't that array powerful enough? Wasn't it still destroyed by the sea race? Inside the array. Ruan Yu said lightly to his subordinates around him, flash away. Ruan Yu had experienced it himself. The poison used by Han Fei was almost invincible in the level 3 fishery. Unless he had eaten all the anti-poison fruits in the level 3 fishery, or rare spiritual fruits such as the venomous tulip and the 1000 poison fruit, there was no way to crack it. Yes, my lord. Swish. 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 When all these people flashed away, Ruan Yu looked at Han Fei. Your purpose is to leave me alone. But what makes you think that you can beat me just because I'm alone? And the two who are hiding know that they can't hide from my perception. What's the point of hiding? As soon as he said that, Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Rinquang jumped out, and the rain automatically avoided them. Ruan Yu perceived again and smiled faintly. There are still 2 missing. Have you gone to rob the treasure house of the dragon boat? Sure enough, you are from the Thug Academy. You won't let go of any benefits. But do you think it's so easy to rob the treasure house of the dragon boat? Han Fei grinned. I know it's not easy to rob. If I can rob it, I'll rob it. If I can't, I'll kill you. Anyway, if I defeat you, who else can compete for the treasure house? You're bragging. Guan Yu shook his arms, and the blue array suddenly broke, and billowing airwaves blasted in all directions. A big fish with long fins and scarlet scales flashed out from between Guan Yu's eyebrows. A string of data appeared in Han Fei's eyes. However, this big fish in front of him was just a fish, which made Han Fei breathe a sigh of relief. If it was a crustacean, it would be really hard to defeat it. The gale arowana opened its mouth, roared at the sky, and a hurricane directly fell from the sky. Lu Rinquang took the lead and activated the sky-swallowing technique. The suction force spread in all directions, causing the hurricane to twist and bend towards him. Han Fei's momentum soared, and the infinity water gathered, turned into a water column, and plunged straight into the hurricane. Suddenly, the water blade and the wind rolled together, and it was hard to tell which one was stronger. Han Fei was shocked. So strong. Han Fei activated the majestic mystic spell, and his momentum continued to rise. At the same time, Little Fatty and Little Gold attached to him, directly raising his realm to that of a peak-level dangling fisher. Han Fei didn't dare to take it lightly. Even if he couldn't exert the real value of the infinity water, it was still a treasure of a city. With the little power that he could use at present, he was already on par with the spiritual beast of a hanging fisher, which showed that he was on par with the spiritual beast of a hanging fisher. Guan Yu sneered, a green light flashed in his hand, and an armor box fell to the ground. At the same time, Han Fei saw a huge shark mouth roaring in the air and attached to Guan Yu's body. Above his arms, there were 2 sharp discs. This was not the end. Immediately after that, a big dark blue fish condensed. Han Fei recognized at a glance that it was a sailfish. So there was another dark blue spear in Guan Yu's hand. Han Fei's eyelids twitched. An armorist and a soul warrior at the same time. Guan Yu smiled faintly. Good taste. It's a pity. Guan Yu suddenly shouted, and the billowing sound waves surged in all directions. Do you think anyone can sit on a dragon boat? Ghost break. Guan Yu raised his head, and a flame appeared in the air, and circles of air waves spread on the spear. Seeing this scene, Zhang Xuanyu immediately rushed up. 9-layered waves in furious sea. Buzz, Guan Yu didn't even look back, and the wheels on his arms rolled out. At this time, there was no fancy moves at all. In a life-and-death battle, only efficiency mattered. Han Fei took out the blood-drinking knife and used the draw technique with all his strength. The deck was lifted up, and the knife light drew a half-arc in the air with soaring murderous intent. Han Fei didn't want to retreat, and he couldn't retreat. Since he had chosen to fight him, he had to fight him to the end. At least he had to hold on until the others arrived and surrounded him. He slashed out, and the billowing air waves directly rippled thousands of meters of red light in the air, shining in the sky. Below the dragon boat, people had already risen up on fishing boats. At this moment, they were watching this scene in a daze. Wow! Someone said in shock, Han Fei can actually challenge a hanging fisher. Oh my god! What kind of domineering combat skill is that? How can it be so powerful? Oh my god, Han Fei didn't retreat. What is he going to do? Someone was horrified. Zhang Xuanyu was defeated. Zhang Xuanyu was defeated. His 9-layered waves in furious sea had already been launched. However, he still couldn't shake or break through the 2 wheels. At this moment, Lu Rinquang gave up the sky-swallowing technique, stood in front of Zhang Xuanyu, and shouted, Divine Turtle Shield, Infinite Defense. Clang, 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 a huge old turtle covered in front of Lu Rinquang, and the turtle's shell propped up an armor-shaped shield, blocking the 2 wheels. On the other side, Han Fei gathered all his energy, his eyes were red as if flashing with fire, and the sacrificing punch roared out. Bam, bam, bam. Han Fei broke through 3 barriers in midair in a row and launched the most powerful sacrificing punch. He grinned hideously. I'd like to see how strong a hanging fisher is. Han Fei didn't use the art of invincibility. Although that boxing technique was strong, he hadn't mastered its essence yet, so he couldn't use it to deal with the current hanging fisher. But the sacrificing punch was different. It was a punch tailor-made for Han Fei. One punch could defeat all methods. Ren Tianfei left it for Han Fei to save his life. He never expected that Han Fei would launch the sacrificing punch as soon as he appeared. Guan Yu's face darkened. He spread out his arms and the 2 wheels immediately returned. Humph! The armor box in front of Guan Yu opened, and long thorns appeared inside. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of long thorns were twisted together and turned into a large conical thorn. In an instant, the long thorn rushed forward, and the tricolor streams of light burst out, dazzling light, illuminating everyone within dozens of kilometers. They couldn't help but cover their eyes with their hands. Take my mystic divine thorn. Chapter 538. The moment when Han Fei and Guan Yu attacked, the time was so short that it couldn't even be described as a flash of lightning. Zhang Xuanyu's body was still flying in the sky. Seeing this scene, how could he not be shocked? At the risk of bleeding from his eyes, Zhang Xuanyu launched a soul stab. At this moment, Guan Yu, who was fighting Han Fei wholeheartedly, didn't expect that one of them knew how to use soul attacks. Guan Yu swallowed a mouthful of blood and was bleeding from his eyes, nose, and mouth. Huh! After taking a soul attack from Zhang Xuanyu, Guan Yu still didn't look back but continued to control the mystic divine spike. Lu Renquang was also fighting desperately at this moment. He didn't expect this hanging fisher to be so strong. In his opinion, the mystic divine spike was a fatal stab. Lu Renquang roared, added the violent war body to the majestic mystic spell, and at the same time, shot out a golden light. Bloodthirsty broadsword. Lu Renquang's bloodthirsty broadsword was a combat skill with the same effect as Han Fei's draw technique and sacrificing punch, but the bloodthirsty broadsword was even more ruthless. If it didn't drink blood, it would definitely backfire. But the bloodthirsty broadsword was too slow to interrupt Guan Yu's attack. In the sky, a huge fist mark, like a meteor, smashed at Guan Yu in a blaze of flames. And the mystic divine spike directly avoided the sacrificing punch and stabbed at Han Fei's chest. Whether it was Han Fei or Guan Yu, they didn't hesitate to take a blow from each other. Han Fei thought to himself, "Little fatty, I'm counting on you this time." Han Fei roared. "I have the indestructible body, the majestic mystic spell, and an ultra-quality battle suit. Little fatty can absorb 90% of the power. I don't believe I can't block your blow." At that moment, Han Fei took out a big shield and put it in front of him. This was the ultra-quality giant shield that he refined in the abyssal chasm to resist the sword currents. However, with a clang, the giant shield was pierced through, and a large circular hole was made. Han Fei immediately put on another ultra-quality battle suit in front of him. This time, it lasted for a full 2 minutes. During these 2 minutes, Han Fei threw away the giant shield and his sacrificing punch had hit Guan Yu. This guy crossed his arms, and 2 roulette discs were suspended in the air. Bombarded by the sacrificing punch, the top deck suddenly shattered, and Guan Yu's body left a nearly 200-meter-long scratch on the deck. "Fuck your mother." Han Fei cursed, the top-quality battle robe was pierced, and the Xianshan thorn landed on his shoulder. Crack! Han Fei felt as if he had touched an embroidery needle for the first time. He flew backward for nearly a kilometer in the air. Another set of supreme-grade battle armor on his body lasted for about 3 breaths before it was torn again. However, at this moment, an invisible tentacle, which was also an impenetrable fish skin, blocked the attack. In the end, the mystic divine spike failed to pierce through Little Fatty's defense, but Han Fei still vomited 3 mouthfuls of blood and felt that his left shoulder was broken. Fortunately, Han Fei managed to block the mystic divine spike. Now that he had blocked it, Han Fei was sure that although the attack of a peak-level dangling fissure was strong, it couldn't kill him. If it was an ordinary junior hanging fissure or intermediate hanging fissure, he might not even need to use an ultra-quality spiritual weapon to resist it, and the indestructible body could block it. As for Guan Yu, his shoulder also seemed to be broken at this moment. He vomited a mouthful of blood, and there was a fist mark on his ultra-quality battle robe, which was completely cracked. All the onlookers were dumbfounded. What the hell is going on? A hanging fissure. The super-strong master on the dragon boat was injured so badly at this moment. On the other side, Han Fei stuffed a few mouthfuls of candle dragon blood into his mouth. With a thought in his mind, the infinity water rushed at Guan Yu. Han Fei stretched out his hand, spread his golden and red wings, and continued to rush at Guan Yu. He felt that he could use his peak strike now. If he couldn't kill this person, he would run away. It was at this moment that the bloodthirsty broadsword finally arrived. Guan Yu, who was also an armorist, flashed in his armor box and a strange-looking glove was put on his hand. With one hand on the ground, he punched back. Clang, the air waves whistled towards Lu Renkuang, and Lu Renkuang's ultra-quality long knife was smashed by this fist. Puff! This blow made Lu Renkuang kneel on the ground, coughing up blood twice in a row, and then he raised his head with difficulty. However, Guan Yu was not completely unscathed. His entire right arm was torn into hundreds of wounds by a force of qi. Except for the boxing glove, his right arm was probably seriously injured. At this moment, as soon as Han Fei flapped his wings, a dragon roar suddenly exploded in Guan Yu's ears. Immediately afterward, a slender figure directly blasted Guan Yu into the sky with a blow. In the blink of an eye, the 1,000-strike technique was penetrated 18 times in a row, and blood splashed every time. At this moment, Guan Yu, who couldn't stay in the air, knocked the millstones in his hands against each other. Clang, like a big bell ringing, Xia Xiaochan was directly blasted out of the shadow state. Xia Xiaochan's mouth was bleeding, and in a flash, she appeared behind Guan Yu again, and a violent stab was pressed against Guan Yu's neck. But as a hanging fissure, even if he was in the air, his reaction was extremely fast. He directly took off the ultra-quality battle suit on his body and blocked Xia Xiaochan's blow. At the same time, a gust of wind rolled up, and he stepped on the gust of wind and put on another ultra-quality battle suit. Han Fei rushed over at top speed, and Luo Xiaobai also rushed to the deck. However, Luo Xiaobai's situation didn't look too good. There were traces of battle on her body, and her face looked very pale. But the moment Luo Xiaobai went up to the 5th floor, countless vines swept out, dragging Zhang Xuanyu, Lu Renkuang, and Xia Xiaochan back. At the same time, Luo Xiaobai stuffed a spiritual fruit into her mouth and pointed at Guan Yu with her finger. Hundreds of huge petals directly ignored the gust of wind and wrapped Guan Yu like a shadow. Bam! The petals exploded, and blood spilled out of Luo Xiaobai's mouth. Obviously, this blow consumed a lot of her energy. When the petals exploded, Guan Yu's hair was disheveled, and he glanced at Luo Xiaobai and the others. The long stab of the sailfish in his hand shot straight at Luo Xiaobai as if trying to nail her to death. Lu Renkuang gritted his teeth and was about to take out his shield, when he saw 6 pillars of light rising into the sky. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The spear spun wildly on the 6-gate formation. At the moment the 6-gate formation was broken, Zhang Xuanyu hit the spear hard and knocked it away. At this moment, Han Fei had already returned. Seeing Guan Yu wearing another ultra-quality battle suit, Han Fei didn't care about him at all. The red ancient jade was crushed by Han Fei. At the moment the ancient jade was broken, Guan Yu widened his eyes and shouted, "Who is helping you?" Guan Yu wasn't afraid of Han Fei's sacrificing punch. However, this piece of ancient jade caused his expression to change drastically. Under the gaze of tens of millions of people, a big axe suddenly burst out in front of Han Fei. The axe light, which was hundreds of meters long, had the power to split the sky. In an instant, it had reached Guan Yu. Huh. Explode. 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers, 3 ultra-quality battle suits blocked in front of him, but they only lasted for a second before they shattered. Ruan Yu's chi and blood were burning, and the ferocious light on his right glove lit up again. Rumble, within a kilometer, the power of the axe swept across. Some people who were a little closer directly vomited blood. The power of one blow injured hundreds of people. When they looked again, they found that Ruan Yu's entire right arm had disappeared, half of his body was bleeding, the bones of his right chest were cracked, and his flesh and blood were scattered. Han Fei screamed, "Remember, if I want you to die, you must die." Sacrificing punch, again. This time, Ruan Yu couldn't block it. If it weren't for the power of the axe just now, he wouldn't have been able to block the sacrificing punch again. However, that axe had directly cut off half of his life. How could he block it again? Rumble, Ruan Yu, together with Han Fei, blasted straight down from the top of the dragon boat, and the two of them directly pierced a big hole in the dragon boat. This punch directly blasted from the upper 5 layers to the bottom 3 layers. Ruan Yu didn't even have a chance to self-destruct, and everything below his head was smashed. Panting, Han Fei quickly poured another mouthful of candle dragon blood into his mouth. He felt that this was the most difficult battle he had ever fought in his life. Huh. Han Fei saw a jasper-colored shell slide from Ruan Yu's chest, and he immediately picked it up. What is this? Wow. Shoot, Han Fei was shocked. Is this a sea-swallowing seashell? He just scanned it and found that there were a huge number of treasures and mid-quality pearls in the entire shell, which filled an area with a radius of a kilometer. Huh. No, wait. What kind of sea-swallowing seashell has such a large space? Just as Han Fei said coldly, Luo Xiaobai said to him via voice transmission, "Come on. Let's go." Han Fei put away the shell, looked back, and stuffed a ball of Poison King into the mouth of Ruan Yu, who was still a little conscious. After doing this, Han Fei jumped to the top of the dragon boat, only to see that Zhang Xuanyu had already prepared the wind god boat. When Han Fei jumped onto the fishing boat, the wind god boat turned into a stream of light and disappeared between heaven and earth. There were hundreds of thousands of people on the entire dragon boat, but none of them dared to stop him. Someone clicked his tongue. How the fuck could they stop him? Even the hanging fisher was defeated. How could they stop him? Could they even withstand a punch from him? After a while, someone exclaimed, "The hanging fisher is dead." Chapter 539. About 6 hours after Ruan Yu's death, a figure fell from the sky and roared, shocking the entire dragon boat. But at this moment, the dragon boat had been ruined. Without a hanging fisher, the dragon boat guards couldn't resist the looting of hundreds of thousands of people at all. The shop owners in the trading market immediately packed up all their things, closed their businesses, and joined the looting army. When the hidden fisher arrived, the dragon boat was in a mess, and almost everything that could be looted had been looted. And the people on the dragon boat had also reduced from hundreds of thousands to tens of thousands. Half of them were the staff of the dragon boat itself. Next to Ruan Yu's body, the hidden fisher frowned and fiddled with his foot. Humph, the aura of the evil shield. At this moment, Han Fei and the others had already entered a small secret realm that had been excavated in the level 3 fishery. All 5 of them sat paralyzed on the ground, and Han Fei's divine healing technique constantly fell on them. Zhang Xuanyu grinned. Is this the strength of a hanging fisher? Isn't it too strong? 5 against 1, with all our secret techniques activated, we actually had to rely on that ancient jade to kill him. Lu Renkuang lay on the ground and howled. No, I feel that my internal organs are dislocated, and the backlash is amazing. I'm afraid I won't be able to fight again within 10 days. Xia Shaochan kicked Lu Renkuang. It shows that you are not fat enough. If you were a little fatter, you could have bounced his attack back. Lu Renkuang rolled his eyes. How fat do I have to be to bounce back the attack of a hanging fisher? Mr. Hexagon Starfish was also lying on the ground, like a starfish that was exhausted. The six-gate formation was broken so easily. How shameless. Han Fei looked at Luo Xiaobai. Is there a trap in the treasure house? Luo Xiaobai nodded. A serial killing array was set up inside and outside the treasure house, and both my sets of ultra-quality spiritual weapons were destroyed. Wow! Han Fei gasped. 2 sets of ultra-quality spiritual weapons were destroyed, and it must have been very difficult for Luo Xiaobai to break out. Han Fei quickly said, "It's okay. You can make more ultra-quality spiritual weapons. Let me show you something good." Huh? Everyone looked at Han Fei, only to see him take out a jasper-colored shell. But when they looked at it carefully, it turned out that under the color of the jasper, there was a layer of milky white underlay. Xia Shaochan took a look. Huh? What is this? Ah. Lu Renquan covered his ears. What's wrong? Let me see. How? Zhang Xuanyu snatched it from Lu Renquan's hand and froze. Then he was dumbfounded and began to laugh foolishly. Frowning slightly, Luo Xiaobai glanced at it and opened her mouth slightly. After 5 or 6 breaths, he slowly said, I'm afraid it's a sun moon shell. Sun moon shell? What is that? Everyone looked at Luo Xiaobai. They were a group of bumpkins and were not as knowledgeable as Luo Xiaobai. Luo Xiaobai said, "We have to start with the unique talents and attributes of these shells. As we all know, we are all using sea-swallowing seashells, which is also the most common kind of storage space. Sea-swallowing seashells are actually not rare because their lifespan is limited. After they die, the internal space becomes a world of its own. After they are picked up, they become the sea-swallowing seashells we are using now." Luo Xiaobai continued, "And above the sea-swallowing seashells, there is another kind of shell called the sun-moon shell. It is said that this kind of shell often floats on the water surface and absorbs the brilliance of the sun and the moon, just like the cultivation techniques we practice. Over time, its texture will become stronger and its lifespan will be extremely long. After they die, they will also form a space of their own, which is naturally much larger than the sea-swallowing seashells." It was the first time that Han Fei and the others had heard of such a saying about the sea-swallowing seashells and sun-moon shells, and they couldn't help but be amazed. Han Fei sighed. "This sun-moon shell has a radius of 1 kilometer. I was wondering where the treasures on the dragon boat were hidden. It turns out that he took it with him." Luo Xiaobai shook her head slightly. "No, there should be more than one sun-moon shell on the dragon boat, but we didn't find it." Xia Shaochan also said, "I didn't get much from the black market. I only grabbed less than 50 sea-swallowing seashells, but they were quite full." Han Fei nodded. "This time we are really rich. But how do we use the money?" Lu Renquan quickly said, "Sell it. Didn't the man on the ghost ship leave us his contact information? Sell it to him in exchange for spirit awakening fluid." Han Fei shook his head. "You have no idea how much money is in this sun-moon shell. Let alone the sun-moon shell, even the sea-swallowing seashells that Xia Shaochan grabbed are worth hundreds of kilograms of spirit awakening fluid. This sun-moon shell is too valuable. It is worth at least more than 10,000 kilograms." Luo Xiaobai thought for a moment and said, "Let's recover from our injuries first. Han Fei wants you to refine some ultra-quality spiritual weapons and battle suits. For a period of time, we will definitely be the public enemy of the level 3 fishery. Whenever we meet a dragon boat, I am afraid that they will hunt us down. Therefore, we must be in our peak state at this moment." Han Fei nodded. "No problem. We won't go out for a few days. Let's take a good rest." In fact, Han Fei was also seriously injured. Guan Yu's mystic divine spike was not weak either. Until now, he still felt that there was a strange force on his shoulder destroying the vitality in his body, but fortunately, the regenerative ability of the indestructible body was also very terrifying, so he was able to recover until now. In the level 3 fishery, the news about the 5 people of the thug legend was already known to everyone. Especially the news that the 5 people of the thug legend killed a hanging fisher, which was simply a fantasy in the eyes of ordinary people. On the side of the 7 major sects of the Thousand-Star City, everyone was stunned. Fortunately, they didn't fight with Han Fei at that time. Otherwise, how could they have survived until now? The disciples of the Grand Void Academy couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Ji Wenxuan secretly said to Tianishan, "It's not a shame that we were cheated. That guy is so powerful that he can even kill a peak-level hanging fisher. It's not a big deal that we were cheated." Tianishan couldn't agree more and conveyed this thought to Chu Sun, who nodded faintly in agreement. When Gong Yuehan first heard the news, she was completely stunned. 5 dangling fishers worked together to kill a peak-level hanging fisher. Even if there seemed to be some discrepancies in the process, the peak-level hanging fisher was indeed dead, and it was an indisputable fact that the dragon boat was now guarded by a hidden fisher. Gong Yuehan couldn't help but think of Han Fei's appearance when she first met him. He pretended that he couldn't even beat a basalt conch and even made a sneak attack. Senior sister, ah. What? Senior sister, what are you thinking about? Oh. No, nothing. Senior sister, are you thinking about that Han Fei? You have been out of sorts since you came out of the steps into the sea. Is it? Damn girl, if you keep talking nonsense, I will scratch you to death. When Tang Gu heard the news, he opened his mouth wide. He was shocked at first, and then he was about to find Han Fei. It took Mu Ling a lot of effort to stop him. Mu Ling said helplessly, "Why do you want to find him now? Since they can kill a hanging fisher and escape calmly, how can it be so easy to find them?" Tang Gu said with a sullen face, "It must be very dangerous at this moment. These dragon boats must have sent a lot of people. When they attack, there must be more than one hanging fisher." Mu Ling said, "Do you think he is stupid? Han Fei is smarter than you. If there is no way out, do you think he will run to the dragon boat? Even if you go there now, you can't help him. It is said that Han Fei can break an ultra-quality battle suit with one punch. Can you do that?" "No." Tang Gu replied straightforwardly. Thinking of this, Tang Gu remembered those rumors. Some people said that Han Fei turned into a raging sea demon and punched a big hole in the whole dragon boat. Some people said that Han Fei's physique was amazing and he could resist the full blow of a hanging fisher and still walk leisurely. Some people said, anyway, there were many rumors. Han Fei had been demonized at this moment, so it was obviously impossible to get answers from others. Tang Gu couldn't help sighing. He chose the most difficult path. As for the children of the big clans in the Thousand-Star City, after hearing the news, they were all dumbfounded. Including Chao Tian, they all became serious. Chao Qiu said that he was going to find Han Fei, but was stopped by Chao Jiaran. Chao Jiaran said to Chao Qiu, "You are already friends. If Han Fei becomes a dragon in the future, you can still be friends. But if he has millions of enemies in the future, your relationship with him will end here. Next time, if you meet outside the level 3 fishery, I won't stop you." When Sun Mu heard this news, he just said lightly, "Let's go back to the city." Yang Diyu had vowed to fight Han Fei one-on-one. After hearing the news, he lay on the fishing boat to bask in the sun and flip through the map. As for looking for Han Fei, he felt that only someone sick in the head would look for it. This was the situation in the level 3 fishery. Little did he know that the situation outside the level 3 fishery was not much better. For example, Old Bai had already heard the news at this moment. He was very sad. These 5 little bastards are 2 fucking troublemakers. I told you to go out for adventures, not to kill dragon boats, okay? Chapter 540. Generally speaking, what happened in the level 3 fishery would not spread to the towns. The 36 towns deliberately blocked the news in this regard because they were worried that the people in the towns and villages would know too much about the level 3 fishery, which would be of no benefit to their cultivation. In every school in the town, those teenagers usually yearned for the level 3 fishery, thinking that there were many resources, it was easy to make money, and they could improve their cultivation quickly, so they yearned for it. But what they didn't know was that there were also many people who died in the level 3 fishery. Everyone who went to the level 3 fishery would be taught a lot about the level 3 fishery before they went there. When Han Fei and the others went there, when Ren Yu and the others also taught them about the level 3 fishery. However, although few people knew about it, there were still people who knew about it, such as the major chambers of commerce, the teachers in the schools, and the managers in the towns. In a town, it was inevitable that many people would interact with the level 3 fishery, so the news of what happened in the level 3 fishery spread in a small circle. And the Thug Academy, a school with only a few people in total, basically couldn't hide the news. When the news that Han Fei and the others had killed a hanging fisher in the level 3 fishery came back, Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were dumbfounded. Chu Jinan froze on the spot. A hanging fisher. Han Fei and the others had been out for more than 8 months. His and Ling Yuan's strength had improved by leaps and bounds. Because it was not a 5-person team, Xiao Zhan and Wenren Yu naturally acted as sparring partners every day. At this moment, Chu Jinan had already reached the level of an advanced great fishing master, and Ling Yuan was slightly behind him. She was only an intermediate great fishing master, but she was about to make a breakthrough. They thought that before Han Fei and the others came back, they must break through to the level of peak-level great fishing masters. They couldn't be a burden to their senior brothers and sisters, could they? But it had only been 8 months. We haven't reached the peak of the great fishing master level yet, and we are still far away from becoming dangling fishers. Are you telling me that you have killed a hanging fisher? And he seems to be a peak-level hanging fisher. Ling Yuan took a deep breath. Little Nan, I want to go to the level 2 fishery. Chu Jinan froze for a moment. But, we have only achieved 50 consecutive victories in the arena. We are still far from achieving 100 consecutive victories. Ling Yuan looked at Chu Jinan. There are only 2 of us, and the school hasn't recruited any students. Do you know how difficult it is to win 100 games in a row? Suddenly, a voice rang out beside them, Ling Yuan, don't be too fast. Reducing stress is a good thing for motivation, but you have to act within your means. They didn't go to the level 2 fishery until they won 100 games in a row. Otherwise, where do you think their combat experience and skills came from? Ling Yuan's face immediately drooped. Miss Wenren. But senior brother and the others were only junior dangling fishers back then, but they could already win 100 games in a row. Nonsense. Wenren Yu said, at that time, not all of them were junior dangling fishers. Besides, realms are not equal to strength. You're still lacking. Go, fight again in the arena today. Yes, teacher. After Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan left, Xiao Zhan appeared and said with a frown, it's really fast. How did those little guys suddenly kill the guardian of the dragon boat? Humph. Old Bai passed by with his hands clasped behind his back and said fiercely, those little bastards are just messing around. Fortunately, they went to the ghost ship to find some special means first. Otherwise, the 5 of them might have been killed by the enemy. When Ren Yu wondered, President, which senior brother is in the level 3 fishery? How do you know what happened in the level 3 fishery so well? Old Bai said, guess. Anyway, I have someone who sends me a message every half a month. How can I not know their situation? Xiao Zhan said in surprise, why didn't I know that we can still get news about the level 3 fishery now? I specially asked someone to get the wanted list. Now, these 5 bastards are ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the top 5 on the wanted list. When Ren Yu said worriedly, Old Bai, should we do something? I told you to place an immortal seal on them. If that doesn't work, you can also use a protective amulet. But you didn't want to give it to us. Now look, we are trembling with fear. Old Bai snorted. That's what incompetent people do. You seem to think it's the same whether you give it or not. In fact, you are totally wrong. Psychologically, it's completely different. Besides, how do you know that I didn't give it to them? Wen Ren Yu and Xiao Zhan were both stunned. You gave it to them? When did you give it to them? Why don't we know? Old Bai snorted. I won't tell you. The level 3 fishery. On the sea, on an ordinary fishing boat, the 5 of them did not make hot pot again. At this time, a hot pot could really kill them. God knew if passers-by would find them because of the hot pot. Luo Xiaobai said, our top priority now is to confirm whether we should continue our adventure or go back to the Blue Sea town directly. Isn't there a teleportation array only on the dragon boat? Are we going to sneak onto the dragon boat again? Lu Renquang said, I think we'd better go back. Now they are trying to catch us. It's too dangerous. No, we should go to the ghost ship to sell things first. Han Fei pondered. Selling half of them should be enough. The value of the sun moon shells we robbed this time is immeasurable. There are nearly 3 billion mid-quality pearls in them, which can be armed to the teeth. Each of us can buy a peak-level dangling fisher ancient jade. If we buy spirit awakening fluid, we can buy 10,000 caddies. Luo Xiaobai said, I don't recommend buying so much. Don't forget that more than 50% of the Thousand-Star City's economy comes from the unknown place. And before we came to the level 3 fishery, we didn't know that the prices here are completely different from those in the town. Do you think spirit awakening fluid will be cheaper in the unknown place? Han Fei's eyes lit up. Very likely. Then let's buy less first. Han Fei immediately crushed the jade slip given by the faceless man. After half an hour, a figure suddenly floated on the water. Han Fei and the others were surprised. Where is the boat? The faceless man snickered and said, Does it mean that I have to drive the ship here to make a deal with you? Han Fei was puzzled. They had been together for several months. God knew where the ghost ship was. However, this faceless man came so fast. How did he get here? Before Han Fei thought carefully, he heard the faceless man say, I didn't expect you to really succeed. You are really a young hero. Han Fei thought for a moment and said, 3,000 caddies of spirit awakening fluid and 5 peak-level hidden fissures. I don't need the soul crystals. He had only used less than 300 soul crystals last time, and the others hadn't even refined them yet. If they needed more in the future, that would be a matter of the future. As Luo Xiaobai said, the unknown place should be a place richer than the level 3 fishery, and there should be better things there. The reason why they still wanted to buy more was that they hadn't been able to leave the level 3 fishery yet and the danger was always there. If there was a teleportation array that could take them back immediately, Han Fei and the others would definitely choose to go back directly without making any deals. The faceless man didn't feel excited or surprised at all by this one. For billion deal but asked leisurely, how long have you been on the sea? Luo Xiaobai frowned. About an hour. What's wrong? The faceless man pondered for a moment and said, then the price should be raised. You must have robbed a lot of resources from that dragon boat, right? I want half. Wow. Xia Shaochan bared her teeth. Why? Zhang Xuanyu immediately said, then we can't make a deal. Han Fei frowned. Luo Xiaobai asked, why? The faceless man said, I thought you should have contacted me dozens of days ago. If you had contacted me immediately and boarded the ghost ship, I wouldn't have asked you for a lot of money. The problem is that you have shown up now. If you had come to me a little later, I wouldn't have been able to save you. Han Fei's face changed. What do you mean? The faceless man laughed. You must not know that there is a divine weapon in the level 3 fishery called the Sky Hanging Mirror. The power of this mirror is to reflect the entire level 3 fishery. When you were on the dragon boat, you left too many traces. It's too easy to find you. Chapter 541. Wow! Han Fei and the others were all dumbfounded. What the hell is the Sky Hanging Mirror? Who the hell has ever heard of it? The faceless man smiled and said, "You see, in fact, I can take all of your belongings, but the ghost ship has always been fair and just. I'll save you and only charge half of the money. You've made a profit." Han Fei was speechless. Do you know how much half of the money is? Although Han Fei didn't count it, in addition to the 3 billion mid-quality pearls in the Sun Moon shell, the remaining various resources could be worth at least 2 billion or even more. Now you want half of my belongings. So I fought for nothing. The faceless man didn't urge them but just said lightly, "You still have about half an hour to think about it." "I'm not in a hurry." Han Fei's brain was spinning wildly. Is this faceless man lying to me? But there's no reason. Why would the faceless man lie to me? While emphasizing that he was fair and just, he asked for half of his belongings. But on the other hand, if what the faceless man said was true, then at this moment, even if he asked for all of his belongings, he would still be helping him. But they had nothing to do with this faceless man. Why would he help them? Han Fei thought that if he were this faceless man, it was very likely that he would take action in advance, rob him of all his belongings, and then leave directly. This was just one of Han Fei's questions. In addition, he was still thinking, if he hid in the gate of the hexagon starfish, could he escape this disaster? Han Fei knew that if he hid in Forge the Universe, he would definitely be able to escape the disaster, but not to mention that the demon purification pot would be exposed. If the sky-hanging mirror was true, he would have to show up. Even if he hid in Forge the Universe, he couldn't get out of this level 3 fishery. Luo Xiaobai said, "I think it's credible." Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Rinquang were dumbfounded, but after thinking about it, they also nodded surprisingly. They were not idiots. They could clearly distinguish the stakes. They could kill a hanging fisher, but could they kill a hidden fisher? Even if there were no hidden fishers, 1 or 2 hanging fishers might not be able to defeat them. Han Fei looked at the faceless man. "Half of it is not a problem, but you saved us. If you just let us stay on the ghost ship, it's meaningless. We have to go out sooner or later and find a teleportation array on the dragon boat." The faceless man chuckled and said, "Who told you that only dragon boats have teleportation arrays?" Han Fei's face changed. "There's one on the Spectre too." Faceless man smiled and said, "Don't forget, the ghost ship used to be a dragon ship. Although the teleportation array was damaged, it was not impossible to repair it." "Of course. I'll have to pay more." Han Fei was speechless. This guy is so greedy. "So, you've already planned this all along. You'll get half of the reward for saving people and half for repairing the teleportation portal." Han Fei gritted his teeth. "How much?" The faceless man grinned. "Your remaining half. I like to leave a fated chance for others. The fated chance is not over, and the fate is not over. Think about it, isn't it quite interesting?" Han Fei suddenly felt his hair stand on end. Is this guy out of his mind? You make it sound as if I want to be connected with you. Han Fei tried to suppress the urge to punch him. I'm not angry. Anyway, it's all robbed. I can still keep a quarter of it. Not bad. Suddenly, he saw the faceless man look at the sky. In 3 seconds, settle down quickly. They're coming. Huh? They're coming. Han Fei immediately responded, "Okay." The faceless man threw out a fishing rod, and the fishing line immediately tied up Han Fei and the others. Don't resist. With that, the faceless man swished into the water, and Han Fei and the others were strung together and submerged into the water at the same time. However, at the moment when Han Fei and the others entered the water, a blue beam of light fell directly on their fishing boat. With a boom, the fishing boat exploded into pieces. At the bottom of the sea, the faceless man pushed with one hand, and a complex and strange pattern appeared, which condensed into a large circular array in a few seconds. Huh? After Han Fei saw this large array, he was slightly stunned. Why does this array pattern look a little familiar? But the reality didn't allow Han Fei to think about it at all. In the bottom of the sea, suddenly a golden light seemed to pass through the endless void and suddenly appeared in front of the large array. The faceless man stomped his foot, and a defensive array appeared. Bam! The entire seabed was blasted into a turbid state, the sand and stones within a kilometer were mercilessly crushed, the seawater bulged, and a large pit was sunken under their feet. Han Fei and the others were shocked. This was definitely not an attack at the level of a hanging fissure. Is a hidden fissure here? Faceless, the dragon boat and the ghost boat never interfere with each other. Hand over those little guys, and you and I will live in peace. Otherwise, the array in the faceless man's palm was still stacked, and all kinds of strange patterns were still entangled. He said, I took your money and helped you eliminate disasters. What can you do to me? The next moment, shadows swept over at a terrifying speed. The faceless man snorted lightly, and the array in his palm suddenly burst out with a strange light. The faceless man directly pushed Han Fei and the others into it, saying, I told you to make up your mind earlier, but you didn't listen. Fine. I will find you later. Han Fei and the others only felt that their vision went dark, and the next moment they appeared on the surface of the sea in an unknown place. Whoop! The waves splashed, the wind whistled, and everyone's clothes fluttered in the wind. They were still in shock. Lu Renquang was horrified. We are really being targeted. That sky-hanging mirror is real. The hexagon starfish clawed Lu Renquang. I'm so scared. No, I can't stay in this sea area. It's too fierce. I have to go somewhere else. Han Fei sneered. If you have the ability, go ahead. Now there is a mirror hanging in the sky. I guarantee that you will be caught before you can run out of the level 3 fishery. At that time, I'm afraid your treasures will be emptied. The hexagon starfish's big eyes narrowed. Then. Forget it. Zhang Xuanyu said in surprise, Fei, do you feel that this place seems a little familiar? Han Fei didn't have time to think about this, so he responded casually, it's all fucking water. I can't feel anything. Zhang Xuanyu said, wind. Wind. The sky is just right, but the wind is very strong. This place is close to the abyssal chasm. Han Fei was taken aback. Fuck, it seems to make sense. Xia Shaochan said, then what are we waiting for? Let's go in. Otherwise, what if the mirror in the sky finds us? Luo Xiaobai agreed. Let's go in. Although I don't know what the sky-hanging mirror is, it must have something special since it can locate us. I've heard that the abyssal chasm is strange. This place is just right. The wind god boat came out and the 5 of them rushed to the place where the wind was strong. Han Fei said, it's a good deal. I've decided that when I have a chance in the future, I will definitely go to the level 3 fishery, rob a few more dragon boats, and take off that mirror by the way. Xia Shaochan scoffed. Don't brag. If it weren't for that faceless man, we wouldn't even know how to escape. Han Fei snorted. He was thinking that if it weren't for that faceless man, he would have to use the sky-dissecting finger. Less than half an hour after the wind god boat left, a fishing hook rushed at them from the void. With a swish, Han Fei maneuvered the fishing boat to make a half-arc and narrowly avoided the fishing hook. Han Fei shouted, not good, someone is targeting us. Steady, steady. As a result, as they approached the abyssal chasm, a red silhouette often moved in a semi-arc on the surface of the sea, jumping, making rapid turns, and other snake-like movements. Han Fei cursed while controlling the fishing boat, they can't catch up with me, can they? I'm just using the hook and he's not coming. If he can catch up with us, I'll ride backwards. At this moment, the tide on the sea was already surging, and huge waves tens of meters high had been set off on the sea. The wind god boat was like an elf dancing on the sea, and Han Fei said to the others, when we reach the hurricane area, I won't stop but rush straight in. You. Did you come out like this when you came out? Zhang Xuanyu was stunned. No. When we came out from the water, and there were some accidents and some people died. Han Fei paused for a moment. Really? Suddenly, Lu Renkuang's face changed drastically. Stop talking. Look at the sky. Everyone looked up, only to find that a silver light seemed to shoot down from the sky, and then 2 hanging fissures emerged from the silver light. Hiss. Zhang Xuanyu looked at Han Fei. What is your surname? Han Fei screamed as if there was a prawn stuck in his throat. What the fuck is this? How can hanging fissures be so strong? Luo Xiaobai's face was dark. It should be some kind of array that can directly change positions, but the price is not low. It seems that we have really angered the entire level 3 fishery. Chapter 542. In the blink of an eye, Han Fei steered the wind god boat at full speed and cursed, so what if they come? No matter how fast a hanging fisher is, can he be faster than a fishing boat? They can't even catch up with an ordinary fishing boat. Han Fei was right. The fishing boat was a bug. No matter how fast a hanging fisher was, it was impossible for him to be faster than a fishing boat unless he launched a fierce attack. However, Han Fei only considered pure speed. In addition to speed, hanging fishers also mastered brilliant fishing skills. 2 fishing hooks were thrown out in the blink of an eye. Han Fei's perception range was large, and as soon as the fishing hooks were thrown out, the blue sea wandering dragon daggers swept out. Not to attack, but to change the landing point of the fishing hooks. As long as he made the slightest mistake, he could get out of trouble. Unfortunately, as a hanging fisher, his control ability was also extremely strong. Han Fei's goal failed and the blue sea wandering dragon daggers returned. Luo Xiaobai and Lu Renkuang made a contribution. One used the sky swallowing technique to forcibly attract the fishing hooks. The other pointed his finger and vines emerged from the void, flying and entangling to block the 2 fishing hooks. However, the 2 hanging fishers reacted quickly. The fishing boat under their feet appeared and they also chased after them frantically. While chasing, they waved their fishing rods. This lasted for about a quarter of an hour. Under the defense of Lu Renkuang and Luo Xiaobai, Han Fei finally saw the hurricane sweeping into the sky. Han Fei shouted, "Come on, let's hold on for another half an hour." Puff! Lu Renkuang said, "The wind here is too strong. My sky-swallowing technique is about to be affected." Luo Xiaobai said, "Not good, they are attacking from underwater." Han Fei immediately said, "Zhang Xuanyu, you control the wind god boat." Han Fei took out the blue sea wandering dragon rod and shot it directly into the water. Han Fei couldn't use the thousand twining technique, so he could only use the flash hook technique and the winding snake technique. The fishing hook competition was about ingenuity, which depended entirely on the dangling fisher's method of controlling the hook. Otherwise, once Han Fei's fishing line was entangled, he would have to either throw away the fishing rod or cut the fishing line. But it would take time to cut the fishing line. Therefore, once the fishing hook competition failed, Han Fei would lose an ultra-quality spiritual weapon. Under the water. To be exact, the vines were hanging under the fishing boat. Luo Xiaobai's perception range was not that far, so she could only defend herself passively. After Han Fei used the water vein technique, the fishing hook entered the water, and the fishing line and hook seemed to enter a state of invisibility. Facing the fishing hook that came straight at him, he went up and pulled, directly bending the fishing line of the other party. Behind him, the faces of the 2 hanging fishers changed slightly. What kind of fishing skill is this? I can't find the hook and line at all. Use the double hooks. So, for the first time, Han Fei saw the fishing technique of 1 fishing rod with 2 fishing lines and hooks. One of the hooks twisted, and the other shot at the wind god boat. Han Fei sneered. Do you think 2 fishing hooks are enough? You're too naive. Do you think my void fishing technique is useless? At that moment, 1 hook against 4 hooks, the blue sea wandering dragon rod was like a snake attacking, always rushing up and pecking at the 2 hanging fishers behind him, which gave the 2 hanging fishers a headache. Damn dangling fisher, I admit that your combat skills are good and your physique is also very strong, but where the hell did you learn this weird hook technique? Xia Xiaochan was holding the fishing boat and sensing it. She looked at Han Fei in surprise. What kind of hook technique is this? Han Fei could still respond, this is my exclusive hook technique, which combines the water control technique of a spirit gatherer, the winding snake technique, instant hook, and many other hook techniques. Anyway, Xia Xiaochan wasn't a spirit gatherer, so it was easy to fool her with the tricks of a spirit gatherer that she didn't know. The two sides fought for almost half an hour. The sky was completely dark, and the wind god boat had completely entered the hurricane sea. Just when everyone thought they were about to rush into the abyssal chasm, the waters suddenly exploded, and the wind god boat was directly blasted into the sky. How is it possible? Han Fei was shocked. He had been perceiving that there was no one within a radius of 10,000 meters. But just now, there was clearly an impact of a spiritual energy explosion under the boat. As soon as the wind god boat flew into the sky, Zhang Xuanyu's control was unstable, and there were tornadoes everywhere, so he directly lost control. It was also because of this mistake that the two hanging fishers finally hooked the wind god boat. Han Fei immediately pulled out the blood-drinking knife and slashed out, breaking all the 4 fishing hooks. However, it was this momentary change that caused them to have no way to escape. Han Fei didn't ask why. When the wind god boat flew into the sky, he knew that it was too late to say anything. Han Fei roared, "Get ready to fight." Luo Xiaobai took the lead, using the strong wind here to summon large pieces of flower petals, which flew all over the sky. When it fell on the hanging fisher who leaped over, it exploded with a bang. Han Fei shot out the blue sea wandering dragon bow, but behind each spiritual energy arrow, there was a small black ball. Bam, 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 the poisonous smoke king exploded in the air, but because the wind was too strong and the hanging fisher's reaction speed was too fast, it didn't have any effect. Han Fei stepped on a spiritual array, raised his hands, and a large amount of seawater turned into water knives and attacked them. The two hanging fishers didn't care about this at all. The two of them were rushing over at an extremely fast speed, and a weird hook appeared in one of their hands and even shot at Han Fei. But they didn't notice the smile on the corner of Han Fei's mouth. It was too easy to disguise this kind of water knife with the infinity water. Han Fei directly threw several kilograms of Poison King into the infinity water. He didn't believe that the hanging fishers could resist the poison of the Poison King. However, the effect of the Poison King wasn't so fast, and the other party was already in front of him. Han Fei roared, and a blazing fist mark filled with flames in the air, bombarded directly at one of them. Zhang Xuanyu followed closely, and the 9-layered waves in furious sea blasted at another hanging fisher, along with Luo Xiaobai's bursting flowers and Lu Rinquang's bloodthirsty broadsword. As for Xia Xiaochan, she had already disappeared when the two hunters pounced on her. The horror of hunters was not in frontal attacks, but in unexpected attacks, especially in the face of hanging fishers. Flashing directly was tantamount to courting death. The sacrificing punch collided with the hook, and the whole seawater under his feet sunk. Within 100 meters, the wind and waves suddenly stopped, the water splashed, and then exploded. Han Fei vomited a mouthful of blood and was sent flying back twice. And the hanging fisher sneered. "Do you think I will suffer the same defeat as Ruanyu once?" Under the water, a weird black spider crab suddenly emerged from the water and stabbed at Han Fei with its sharp claws. Fortunately, he had an ultra-quality battle suit to protect him. Otherwise, Han Fei would have suffered a big loss. Han Fei vomited a mouthful of blood and slashed with the draw technique. The knife light rubbed violently against the crab's shell and legs but failed to cut it. Han Fei shouted, "Xiaobai." On Luo Xiaobai's side, Zhang Xuanyu had just collided with the opponent and was blasted into the water after only 1 second. The bloodthirsty broadsword was directly blocked by the opponent with a big shield. At this moment, Luo Xiaobai's bursting flowers were exploding. Hearing Han Fei's shout, Luo Xiaobai was slightly distracted, and then thousands of vines stretched out from the void and directly dragged Han Fei back. At this moment, the two hanging fishers were preparing for the next wave of attacks, but suddenly their faces changed. Stomachache? Oh no, I'm poisoned. They didn't know how this dangling fisher was poisoned. He clearly dodged the Poison King's smoke. Could it be the water knife? The two hanging fishers looked at each other and roared at the same time. Both of them took out their long sticks and blasted at Han Fei. The billowing air waves shook the sky directly. Luo Xiaobai was just in front of them, but she was directly blown away by the terrifying sound waves. Lu Rinquang shouted again, "Divine Turtle Shield," however, before the shield came out, there was a sudden explosion in the air. Xia Xiaochan was shaken out of the air. Xia Xiaochan was dripping with blood and her eyes were bloodshot, as if she was about to have an attack. She almost struggled to say to Han Fei via voice transmission, "Hunter." At this moment, Han Fei was furious, and a hexagonal object flashed in his hand. At the same time, he shouted at Xia Xiaochan, calm down, calm down. Don't be impulsive." As soon as he shouted, Han Fei felt a chill all over his body, and a terrifying sharp blade appeared on the back of his neck. Puff, a burst of mystic light, in the roar of Lu Rinquang, and in the flash of Xia Xiaochan, Han Fei's body was directly cut in half. "No. You're courting death." "Who?" At that moment, a dragon roared, Xia Xiaochan's eyes were bloodshot, and her body was ignited with red flames. She couldn't believe it at all. Han Fei was killed. Xia Xiaochan, who was on the verge of having an attack, went crazy. She fused with the giant arowana in an instant. She was going to kill that hunter. Chapter 543. The hunter smiled at the moment he cut Han Fei into pieces. He thought to himself, even if you are a genius, so what? In the face of absolute strength, you can only die. When he cut Han Fei, he was surprised to find that there was no salt at all. Yes, Han Fei used the mirror of icy salt at the moment Xia Xiaochan was born. It seemed that he was cut, but in fact, he was cut into the sea with his clone. Before the hunter could be happy, a red light appeared beside him in an instant. How is it possible? He was horrified. How could Xia Xiaochan's speed be so fast? He admitted that Xia Xiaochan had an almost perfect hunter talent, but she wasn't so strong just now. Before he could react, Han Fei, who had been cut in half, had already fallen into the sea. Xia Xiaochan's figure flickered crazily as if she didn't exist at all, and the dagger in her hand had attacked the hunter hundreds of times in the blink of an eye. Huh! The dragon's roar reverberated in the hunter's ears, making him bleed from his eyes, nose, mouth, and organs. The hunter was fighting back, spurting out a massive number of poisonous stings, each of which was enough to make a peak-level dangling fisher tremble. But in the hunter's horrified eyes, these poisonous stings all penetrated Xia Xiaochan's body, and none of them could fall on her. How could it be? Is this the secret technique of space? Lu Rinquang's eyes were filled with tears, and he activated the violent war body and the spiritual clam. Then he turned into a fireball and slammed into the hunter. Zhang Xuanyu rushed out of the water. It had only been 1 second since he entered the water. How could Han Fei be dead? He didn't believe it, but he saw half of Han Fei's body in the water. I'll kill your son of a bitch. Soul explosion. The hunter didn't expect these people to take the risk, and a burst of spiritual power directly exploded in his head. A dagger with a blazing red light had completely torn his ultra-quality battle suit, and now it was tearing his contractual spiritual beast apart. Is this a divine dagger? Lu Rinquang, like a fireball, held 2 knives in both hands and stabbed directly at his head. The hexagon starfish was shivering on the boat at the moment. He felt something was wrong. Han Fei was dead. Impossible. He didn't feel anything. But in the blink of an eye, the hexagon starfish didn't have time to say anything. In the sky, the other 2 hanging fishers endured their stomachs and charged at Xia Xiaochan and Lu Rinquang. Luo Xiaobai shouted, "Be careful. Han Fei is not dead." Luo Xiaobai maintained her usual calmness. The moment Han Fei was hacked, her heart was indeed chilled. However, everyone forgot that Han Fei had the immortal seal. Would he be that stupid? Did he forget the existence of the immortal seal at that critical moment? No, if the corpse didn't burst out the immortal seal, it was definitely not Han Fei. Luo Xiaobai was 100% sure. Besides, at this moment, she sensed a figure rushing towards her from the vines underwater. Who else could it be but Han Fei? The other three had already gone crazy. All Luo Xiaobai could do at the moment was to desperately block the two hanging fissures. As a result, a dark blue flower bloomed in the sky. Tens of thousands of thin threads extended from the flower bud. Each thread was dark green and densely covered in poison. The blue flower attempted to envelop the two of them. Fuck off. One of them blasted out thousands of rod shadows with his rod, completely ignoring Luo Xiaobai. If two peak-level hanging fissures were trapped by a manipulator at the level of a peak-level dangling fissure, it would be a disgrace to all hanging fissures. In fact, Luo Xiaobai's strength was only relative to those of the same level. For example, although Yi Baiyu was extremely fast, he was no match for hanging fissures in terms of physique and combat power. When encountering various kinds of spiritual plants like Luo Xiaobai's, which could poison, paralyze, and create illusions, he might not be able to resist. But hanging fissures were different. They didn't fall for this trick at all and broke through it easily. Bam! At this moment, the water surface broke, and a fish skin map flew into the air, and a big axe directly tore the void, as if a giant holding a big axe was trying to split the sky and the sea. This was given to him by the faceless man on the ghost ship. How could it be? You're not dead. Damn it, it's the god-slaying axe. How could the two of them have the time to care about the hunter at this moment? What mattered most was to save their own lives. At that moment, 3 void gates fell from the sky. Han Fei's eyes were piercingly cold. 3 death gates. Bam! 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 The 3 void gates shattered again and again, but the axe didn't stop moving forward. The 2 hanging fissures directly took out 5 or 6 ultra-quality spiritual weapons to protect themselves. But these spiritual weapons were still shattered one after another. In the face of this monstrous power, ultra-quality spiritual weapons could only block a few blows, but they couldn't stop it in the end. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them fell into the hurricane as wide as a kilometer with the axe light, and the terrifying axe light even directly split the hurricane in half. At this moment, Han Fei suddenly realized that spiritual weapons might no longer be the mainstream in the future. Ignoring the 2 of them, Han Fei spread his wings and rushed directly to Xia Shaochan. He saw that the hanging fissure had been stabbed into pieces by her, and Xia Shaochan was holding 2 daggers like blood jade in her hands, which seemed to be fucking divine weapons. Han Fei's eyes flashed, and the 9-star chain shot out, directly buckling Lu Rinquang and Zhang Xuanyu. These 2 idiots. Do you think I will die so easily? At this moment, Lu Rinquang's stomach was slashed by Xia Shaochan. Even with the help of the majestic mystic spell and the violent war body, he was still bleeding. Fortunately, Zhang Xuanyu still had some sense of evasion. At this moment, he was running and was dragged back by Han Fei. Han Fei swallowed. Xia Shaochan was sick, and she was holding a divine weapon. What should he do? Han Fei immediately gritted his teeth, put on an ultra-quality battle suit, and rushed over with 2 blue sea wandering dragon daggers in his hands, intending to hit Xia Shaochan. However, in less than a minute, the 2 blue sea wandering dragon daggers were cut to the hilts, and the ultra-quality battle suit on his body was cut all over. Xia Shaochan, wake up. Hey! Are you trying to kill your husband? Ouch! I'm not dead. My waist. Xia Shaochan, I am Han Fei. When Han Fei said his name, Xia Shaochan suddenly paused, with a trace of confusion in her eyes. Seeing that it worked, Han Fei hurriedly said, I am Han Fei. I'm not dead, Not dead. The crimson light in Xia Xiaochan's eyes flickered and she said with difficulty, You are not dead. Yes, 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 I'm not dead, not dead. The crimson light on Xia Xiaochan's body suddenly dimmed, and then she closed her eyes and fell from the sky. Han Fei quickly reached out to pick up Xia Xiaochan and hurriedly cast the divine healing technique on himself. In just a few seconds, he was stabbed 17 times. Fortunately, he had practiced the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies and could control the state of his muscles. He avoided the vital parts of his body. Otherwise, he would have been stabbed to death. At this moment, Han Fei sympathized with the hunter very much. He deserved to be stabbed into a cork. On the fishing boat, Zhang Xuanyu was still in shock. He looked at Han Fei and asked, Fei, you are not dead? Han Fei shrugged. Bullshit. Hurry up and steer the fishing boat. Let's go. Seeing that Han Fei was not dead, Lu Renkuang immediately noticed his belly, which was cut from left to right. His ultra-quality battle suit was cut open, and so was his belly. Lu Renkuang wailed, Fei Fei. Help! Help! Han Fei hurriedly cast the divine healing technique on him and roared, Don't move. I told you not to move. Luo Xiaobai half knelt on the deck, panting. Let's go. Those two seem to have survived. Han Fei looked back. Not killed. That fucking axe didn't kill them. No, there is only one person in the storm. Boom. The thick hurricane seemed to be slapped away by someone, but a faceless man walked out of the storm. The faceless man was weighing 2 sea-swallowing seashells in his hand, seemingly a little satisfied, probably muttering why they were not sun-moon shells. The faceless man stepped to the bow of the wind god boat and shook his head from time to time. 5 fools, knowing that the sky-hanging mirror is hanging high in the sky, you still ran from the sea. Why don't you find a secret realm to hide in? Don't you know how you hid in the past few days? Han Fei grinned and said, We survived, didn't we? By the way, why did you help us? The faceless man shrugged. I am a businessman. Han Fei was pressing one hand on his belly, but he couldn't press it properly because there were too many holes, so he cast the divine healing technique on himself. Han Fei sneered. Businessman? Will a businessman do a losing business? The fish skin map just now is worth at least 200 million, right? The faceless man smiled gloomily. Can 200 million buy your 5 lives? Chapter 544. Han Fei didn't ask what happened to the 2 peak-level hanging fishers. This faceless man was very strong. He was besieged by so many people but could still appear so quickly. Han Fei asked, Who the hell are you? Hee hee. Do you want to ask me questions or save your life first? While talking, the faceless man pushed with one palm, and the weird array just now appeared again. This was obviously a teleportation array. The 5 of them were thrown into the array just now and then suddenly appeared in this abyssal chasm. However, the last time was in a hurry. This time, it took the faceless man a full 3 minutes to completely engrave this array. The faceless man shouted, Let's go. Now that things had developed to this point, Han Fei and the others naturally didn't have any doubts anymore. Strictly speaking, this faceless man was trying to save their lives. Asking for money was most likely a pretense. Otherwise, with the strength of the faceless man, there was no need for him to do that. This was a dark water area. When they appeared from the teleportation array, they saw the behemoth-like ghost ship hovering on the bottom of the sea. In and around the ghost ship, some large squids and octopuses were swimming, and from time to time, some fish, shrimps, and crabs would drill into the holes of the ghost ship. Seeing this scene, Han Fei was naturally very surprised. They had never seen a ship that could sail on the bottom of the sea. Han Fei had seen one, but it was different. This thing was not a submarine. It was still very surprising to see it appear on the bottom of the sea. This time, the entrance of the ghost ship was no longer an ordinary cabin wooden door, but a seal emitting a dim light at the top of the ghost ship. Han Fei walked in front with Xia Shaochan in his arms, and the hexagon starfish lay on his shoulder. There is a big seal on this ship. Han Fei was taken aback for a moment, but he didn't take it seriously. The ghost ship was naturally mysterious. Otherwise, it wouldn't have appeared in the level 3 fishery for so long. The wound on Lu Ren's belly was almost healed, but he still stuffed some restorative pills into his mouth from time to time. Luo Xiaobai suddenly said, "Senior, will the dragon boats really not find the ghost ship?" The faceless man shrugged. "So what if they find it? I'm doing my business. What does it have to do with them?" As faceless man stepped into the seal, everyone appeared directly inside the cabin. The moment they appeared in the cabin, they found that many faceless people were busy in this huge cabin. Han Fei saw that in the hall that originally had 12 trading halls, the wooden boards that were supposed to be the walls of the ship all opened up to form individual rooms. They looked like shops along the street. Here, a faceless person propped up a pill furnace and threw all kinds of spirit herbs into the furnace. There was a faceless man forging weapons, and there was a giant eel lying at the entrance of the blacksmith shop, seemingly preparing to seal a spirit. Someone was floating in the middle of a puddle that was connected to the ocean. Spiritual chi surged around him, and he seemed to be cultivating. Many people seemed to be sorting out all kinds of treasures, including spiritual fruits, spiritual springs, weapons, jade slips, fish and shrimps, but no mid-quality pearls were found. The moment they landed in the cabin, almost everyone stopped what they were doing, raised their heads, and began to look at them up and down. Han Fei couldn't help but take a breath. "What do you mean by showing this to us?" The faceless man smiled. "There is no secret. Why can't I show it to others? Do you think the ghost ship is dead silent when it is not on the sea?" As the faceless man spoke, all the faceless people began to work again. No one said a word of greeting, as if Han Fei and the others didn't exist at all. The faceless man said that there was nothing wrong here, but Han Fei absolutely did not believe him. This place was full of weirdness. The only thing missing was that the words, "I have a secret," were written on their faces. "You're telling me that everything is normal?" Zhang Xuanyu supported Lu Renkuang and whispered to him, "I feel that we have walked into a huge conspiracy." Lu Renkuang shrugged. "I don't care. Anyway, I'm not dead." "That's good." Han Fei and the others followed the faceless man into a separate room. At this moment, Xia Shaochan in Han Fei's arms woke up and struggled to open her eyes. When she saw Han Fei, Xia Shaochan was stunned. "Han Fei? Am I dead too?" Han Fei pinched Xia Shaochan's body and said, "Who told you that I am dead? Do you think I will die so easily? You're so stupid. I just didn't have time to tell you before I was split into the sea." Xia Shaochan stared at Han Fei for a long time. Wow! Suddenly, Xia Shaochan burst into tears and hammered Han Fei with her little hand. "I thought you were dead. I saw you being split by someone." Han Fei comforted her. "That's fake. Why don't you touch me? It's real. I'm still alive." Xia Shaochan reached out and pinched Han Fei's face, and then pinched herself. After a long time, she was sure that Han Fei was not dead, and neither was she. "Huh!" Xia Shaochan suddenly burst into fury. "You almost scared me to death. Next time, tell me in advance. You suddenly split into 2 pieces. Who are you trying to scare?" Cough, cough. Han Fei blushed slightly because he found that Luo Xiaobai and the others were looking at him differently. Zhang Xuanyu was stunned for a long time. "No, Fei Fei. Xia Shaochan. When did you two become so close?" Han Fei was holding Xia Shaochan horizontally at this moment. Xia Shaochan woke up but didn't come down immediately. Instead, she hammered his chest, pinched his face, and hugged him. This was too fucking much. Lu Renkuang said stupidly, people who are in love are usually not smart. Han Fei scoffed. Fuck off. Luo Xiaobai's eyes were strange, but also full of curiosity. Han Fei said shamelessly, "It's none of your business. Why don't you go and talk to her?" Zhang Xuanyu looked at Luo Xiaobai and said, "Xiaobai, Luo Xiaobai said coldly, "Fuck off." Zhang Xuanyu said, "Hey." Okay. Xia Shaochan disappeared into Han Fei's arms in a flash, but when she came down, she immediately said in surprise, "Is this the ghost ship?" Then Xia Shaochan looked at the faceless man, only to find that the faceless man was looking at them with his arms crossed. Xia Shaochan said in surprise, "Why aren't we wearing masks?" Han Fei thought for a while and didn't know how to explain, so he said, "I'll tell you later. It was this senior who saved us." The faceless man said in a hoarse voice, "You are so young." "That's good. Back then, I was also young and..." "Forget it, why am I telling you this?" Then the faceless man stretched out his hand. "Pay up." Everyone, Zhang Xuanyu immediately said, "Senior, I really don't believe you are doing this for money. Why don't we take off our masks and get to know each other?" The faceless man glanced at him. "Why don't you go to heaven?" Lu Rinquang asked, "Senior, are you sure? Then can we still buy things?" The faceless man said lightly, "Of course you can. Pay 5 billion first, if you still have a lot of money left." Puff. Han Fei was speechless. "Did you know that we only have this much money?" The faceless man said, "Don't play tricks. I'm watching you. Don't try to pass off shoddy goods as good ones." What could he do at this point? Of course, he had to pay. Although he risked his life to get the Sun Moon shell, he and the others were also saved by the faceless man. If the faceless man didn't take action, even if they could kill the 3 hanging fishers, could they kill all the hanging fishers in the entire level 3 fishery? So Han Fei took out the Sun Moon shell, sighed, and threw it over. After the faceless man caught the Sun Moon shell, he grunted softly, looked at it for a while, and then laughed. "Not bad, it's a pity that this should only have half of the standing resources of a dragon boat. It should be worth 5 billion. By the way, did you hide it?" Han Fei said helplessly, "Did I have a chance to hide it from the beginning to the end? Besides, this Sun Moon shell is only worth 5 billion. The faceless man sneered. "How much do you think it is?" 10 billion. The things here are all commonly used things. Do you think they are very valuable? Han Fei didn't want to argue. "Fine, whatever you say. I just want to know how much you left for us." The faceless man raised his head slightly, as if thinking. After pondering for a long time, he said, "Building a teleportation array also costs money. You don't have much left. If a dragon boat comes to you, I don't think it will be enough." Puff. Han Fei was dumbfounded. "What the hell? You tell me a Sun Moon shell is not enough? Do you think that money isn't money?" Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Rinquang staggered with each other's arms, feeling as if they had been struck by lightning. It was not easy for them to snatch the Sun Moon shell, although they did not snatch it themselves. But it was Han Fei who snatched it, and they could always eat and drink well with him. Besides, just in those 2 battles, they had destroyed a lot of ultra-quality spiritual weapons, which added up to probably hundreds of millions. Now even the Sun Moon shell had been taken away. How could they not feel distressed? Although she didn't understand the situation, she couldn't reveal the 50 sea-swallowing seashells she had snatched. Those were the last spoils of war. Chapter 545. It seemed that they couldn't get the Sun Moon shell back, but Han Fei and the others had nothing to say. It was them who went to the ghost ship to buy resources first, robbed the dragon boat, and summoned the faceless man. It seemed that they had done it all. Except for killing 2 hanging fishers and experiencing the near-death crisis, they didn't get any benefits. The faceless man left, leaving this room to Han Fei and the others. Lu Rinquang said, "Oh, no, we've suffered a big loss this time. Zhang Xuanyu couldn't help sighing. If the president knows that we have just lost 5 billion yuan, he will probably skin us alive. Luo Xiaobai had no concept of money, so she said calmly, hurry up and restore our strength. Before we completely leave the level 3 fishery, we must always maintain our peak state. Han Fei nodded. Yes, restore our strength and energy. With that said, Han Fei took out a large pot and a barbecue grill. After a while, the 5 of them ate hot pot in the ghost ship. After eating for about 5 minutes, the doors suddenly opened and they saw a group of faceless men standing at the door, staring at the barbecue grill and hot pot. Many faceless men were swallowing saliva, some were pulling each other, and some were pushing and yelling. They seemed to want to taste the barbecue and hot pot. Seeing this, Han Fei's expression changed. He pushed the entire barbecue grill to the door with one hand. Anyway, the 5 of them had been exposed and didn't wear masks. It was probably the first time in the history of the ghost ship that a group of people came in without wearing masks. Since the faceless men wouldn't hurt them, it didn't seem to be a big deal to treat them to a barbecue. So, in the blink of an eye, the barbecue grill was empty, and then a group of faceless men scrambled with each other. Humph! With a cold snort, everyone dispersed, leaving only a bare barbecue grill at the door. The faceless man stood at the door. Do you know the formula for these 2 things? Han Fei. Before Han Fei agreed, the faceless man said, in 2 hours, the teleportation array will be ready. If there is no accident, I will send you back with the help of the mysterious energy of heaven and earth. The premise is that you have to go to the sea, which will inevitably attract dragon boats. You gave me too little money. Han Fei gritted his teeth and said, we have no money. The faceless man chuckled, as if he didn't believe it, but he didn't ask further. Luo Xiaobai, on the other hand, suddenly said, thank you for your help, senior. The faceless man snorted lightly, turned around, and went out. Luo Xiaobai said, there's no such thing as a rescue for no reason. Since the specter chose to help us, it must be related to us. This sun moon shell is worth it. Han Fei nodded. Okay. Hurry up and recover. Fatty, how's the wound on your stomach? Lu Renkuang roared. Xia Shaochan, calm down next time, or we would have all been stabbed to death by you just now. Xia Shaochan. I chopped it. Han Fei's face darkened. No, he did it himself. Without giving Xia Shaochan a chance to think, Han Fei said to her via voice transmission, do you have a divine dagger? Why don't I see you using it? Xia Shaochan was stunned for a moment. You know. Xia Shaochan glanced at Lu Renkuang, wondering if she had taken out the divine weapon and chopped them just now. Xia Shaochan nodded. Yes, but the 2 daggers seem to have been integrated into my arms. I've never summoned them. Did I really use them? Han Fei rubbed Xia Shaochan's hair and said, it's okay. Divine weapons are not easy to use. You just used them to stab a hunter to death. Thinking of the hunter, Xia Shaochan's eyes suddenly turned cold. But Xia Shaochan also asked, where did you get the clone? Zhang Xuanyu also asked, yes. Han Fei, where did you get the clone? Have you also learned a combat skill like the triple original body? Han Fei grinned. It's not the triple original body. It's just an opportunity. I can use the clone 3 times. I've already used it twice this time, so there's only 1 chance left. Luo Xiaobai exclaimed, based on the number of times. A limited type divine weapon. Han Fei nodded. Let's talk about this later. 2 hours later, the ghost ship went to sea, but the ghost horn didn't sound. It was late at night, and the sea breeze blew a salty smell. Han Fei and the others were standing on the top of the ghost ship, where there was a rune array with a radius of about 20 meters, which was now emitting a faint glow. The light became more and more intense, and after a full 10 minutes, a bright moonlight essence fell from the sky and fell on the big array. The faceless man said lightly, the array of heaven and earth is strange and unpredictable. None of you are familiar with it, tsk. Han Fei smiled and said, actually, Before Han Fei finished speaking, the faceless man said, actually, as a spirit gatherer, you only know how to use spirit gathering arrays. It's really shameful. Han Fei was speechless. Okay, now you are the boss. You have the final say. The faceless man said lightly, in about a quarter of an hour, you can enter the array by yourself. Han Fei couldn't help asking, are you going back now? The faceless man snorted. Go back. Bullshit. The enemy is coming. Han Fei and the others were shocked. How is it possible? The level 3 fishery is so big and the dragon boats are so slow. How can they come so fast? Even last time, it took them half an hour to arrive, didn't it? The faceless man said gloomily, the floating island is an array, and so is the level 3 fishery. Under certain circumstances, as long as a certain price is paid, the array will always be activated. Ignorant brats, remember, don't underestimate any place, even ordinary fisheries. While talking, Han Fei saw in the darkness, in the distance, a big brightly lit ship was sailing over. Luo Xiaobai's face changed. So many. Lu Renkuang trembled. Oh, my God. 7, there are 7 of them. The hexagon starfish directly clung to Han Fei's shoulder. At this time, they had to rely on a big shot. Just now, there were only 3 hanging fishers, but they were already so brutal. Now there were 7 fucking dragon boats. How could they not be happy? Han Fei's eyelids were twitching. How much do the masters of the dragon boats want to kill us? 7 dragon boats came at once. Are they crazy? The faceless man said, this is not just your business. The ghost ships and the dragon boats have been holding grudges for a long time. You don't have the ability to attract 7 dragon boats. Faceless. From a long distance away, a sound wave rolled over. In the sky, a hidden fisher came over, holding 2 blazing red flame lightsabers in his hands. Following the hidden fisher were 7 hanging fishers, standing on the fishing boats, some holding swords, some stepping on golden wheels, and some carrying machetes on their backs. All of them rushed at the ghost ship at the same time. The faceless man laughed. Boys, it's time to receive our guests. Kill. His words were like the hooves of a golden spear and iron horse trampling on the sea. Weird sounds that sounded like drumming echoed non-stop on the specter. Red and black mystic rays rose up like lasers and then shrouded the entire specter. Han Fei exclaimed, the killing array of the ghost ship. 2 giant crimson axes had appeared in the faceless man's hands. He leaped into the sky and grinned. 9 nether killing array. At the same time, the 5 of them saw faceless men appear from both sides one after another and land on the top floor. Among them, a few faceless men flew directly into the air and joined forces to attack the hanging fishers. Hanging fishers? Han Fei found that these people were also hanging fishers, but judging from their auras, these people seemed to be junior or intermediate hanging fishers at most. Then, Han Fei saw in the sky, tens of thousands of fishing boats flying towards the ghost ship. Those people seemed to be just a team of peak-level dangling fishers. Gulp. Lu Renkuang swallowed. We seem to have made a big deal out of this. Han Fei was also dumbfounded. The point is, did we really cause this? Are we going to rely on the faceless men to fight this battle? Luo Xiaobai frowned. It's useless for us to go up. I'm afraid this is indeed a war between the dragon boats and the ghost ship. As soon as Luo Xiaobai said so, the hidden fisher said, Faceless, let's see how you resist this time. Ha! I'll just hack you to death. After that, an axe light hung upside down in the sky, and the billowing flames were thousands of meters long. The hidden fisher's flame swords directly burned through half of the sky, as if the whole sky was on fire, and the blazing flames almost blinded the eyes of others. Zhang Xuanyu and the others couldn't help but cover their eyes. Only Han Fei, who was burned in the abyssal chasm, had already adapted to this kind of heat. Clang! Han Fei's eyes were bloodshot, and he saw the faceless man cut the hidden fisher from the sky to the sea. Below the two, the seawater separated, leaving a long gully that was hundreds of meters deep. Shoot! Chapter 546. The five of them were like flowers in the wind, looking so weak and powerless in this night full of sunglow. This level of battle had completely exceeded Han Fei's ability. This was clearly a fight between immortals. Everyone immediately remembered the scene of Xiao Zhan fighting with the man from the Sun family. Their battle was like a tsunami, and just the aftermath of their battle shook dozens of kilometers, making people feel powerless. On the other side, the faceless man had the upper hand with his axe, pressing the hidden fissure on the sea surface. On this side, the battle between the faceless army and the hanging fissures had also begun. However, they could only see a large number of faceless men flying around. Although they were strong, there was still a huge gap between them and peak-level dangling fissures. Without Han Fei's amazing skills, they naturally couldn't gain the upper hand in a head-on confrontation. However, Xia Shaochan suddenly exclaimed, "Look, there are hunters." In the night sky, hundreds of starlight spots shone and scattered among those hanging fissures. Zhang Xuanyu quickly asked, "Where? Where are the hunters?" Lu Rinquang looked around. "I don't see them. By the way, should we go up and help?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. "They must be hanging fisher-level hunters on the ghost ship. Only Xia Shaochan can see them, but we can't." Hearing Luo Xiaobai's words, Han Fei frowned. "Only Xia Shaochan can see them. I can see them too." In Han Fei's eyes, it was just a beam of black shadow bouncing among the starlight, as if the starlight had been woven into a big net. Swish, 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 Han Fei saw with his own eyes that a giant ray of a hanging fissure on the opposite side was cut into pieces. A black light that couldn't be seen at all flashed, and a hanging fissure who was bombarding crazily was torn in half. Wow! Han Fei's eyelids twitched. Isn't this a bit too fucking strong? A hanging fissure. A hanging fissure that he couldn't even defeat was chopped in half with a single slash. Xia Shaochan said in surprise, "This combat skill is good. It's a good reference." Han Fei turned his head and looked at her. "Don't. Get ready to fight. Those peak-level dangling fissures are coming." Faceless Man said that the battle would only end after a quarter of an hour, but it had only been 20 breaths since then. It was still far from a quarter of an hour. Moreover, the Spectre ship was only temporarily out to sea this time. There were no people from all over the world on board, so this battle could only be fought by the faceless men on the Spectre ship. But those were tens of thousands of fishing boats. Even if there was only one peak-level dangling fissure on each fishing boat, there were still 10,000 of them. What did 10,000 peak-level dangling fissures mean? Even if he stood still and let the other peak-level dangling fissure take the attack, he didn't know how long it would take. Boom! Just when Han Fei was about to take action, with a roar from the ghost ship, the red and black killing array suddenly spread out for tens of thousands of meters, enveloping nearly 1,000 fishing boats that were approaching. In an instant, Han Fei saw that the originally twisted lasers directly turned into terrifying beams similar to knife lights. In the blink of an eye, dozens of fishing boats were smashed apart. Someone's body was cut and he was wailing. A hunter tried to hook the Spectre ship, but the hook and the fishing line, as well as himself, were swept by a black light in the blink of an eye and fell straight into the sea. Some armorists protected themselves with turtle shields and barely survived. However, not everyone was an armorist. The soul warriors and armorists could barely resist for a while, but many spirit gatherers, hunters, and manipulators were hanged immediately. To be honest, this was the first time that Han Fei had seen the real power of a killing array. The one he saw Mu Ling use on the steps into the sea was nothing compared to this one. The peak-level dangling fishers, who were almost invincible in the level 3 fishery, were powerless in this killing array. As the saying went, they would die in the presence of light. Zhang Xuanyu said in a daze, "It seems that we don't need to do anything." Lu Renquang shook his head and said, "I don't want to enter this killing array. This is too exaggerated. There are so many mystic lights. How can we break through?" The hexagon starfish muttered, "Human beings are too scary. Why do they like killing arrays? Even starfish don't want to learn it." Han Fei was speechless. "Why don't you learn it? When they want to catch you as their spiritual beast one day, do you think your 6-gate array will be of any help? I won't be caught by them. I run fast." Humph. There were battlefields on all sides. After seeing the battlefield in the undersea city, Han Fei felt that this battlefield might be nothing. However, in the undersea city, the enemy's realm was too high. He could only see the shocking scene occasionally, but it was not as thrilling as watching the battle at such a close distance. The battle between the faceless man and the hidden fisher was beyond Han Fei's expectation. The faceless man was simply suppressing the hidden fisher. It seemed that the flames were blazing, but in fact, the hidden fisher had been hacked to pieces and vomited countless mouthfuls of blood. Outside the killing array, many people turned around and ran away. Damn it! They had been promised a lot of money to attack the boats. In the blink of an eye, 1,000 fishing boats were swept away by a killing array. As far as they were concerned, this was a situation where they had no chance of survival. A hanging fisher rushed into the killing array and shouted, "The killing array also needs spiritual energy. The ghost ship won't be able to hold it for long." With that, the hanging fisher summoned a big turtle. At this moment, the turtle's head shrank in the shell and it slammed into the ghost ship. "Brat, stop this." The faceless man's voice sounded in Han Fei's mind. After hearing this, Han Fei rushed forward and launched the sacrificing punch again. Boom! The turtle shell was punched by Han Fei and flew away in the sky. However, what made Han Fei speechless was that, unlike other hanging fishers, this hanging fisher, who seemed to be an armorist, completely blocked the sacrificing punch. Han Fei hurriedly poured a few mouthfuls of candle dragon blood into his mouth and panted. "I can't move." As soon as Han Fei finished speaking, an axe light fell from the sky and directly split the big turtle in half from the middle. The hanging fisher could no longer fly in the air, and his legs were cut off. Ah! Along with a shrill scream, dozens of beams of mysterious light swept over. Luo Xiaobai pointed her fingers and spiritual plants grew out of the hanging fisher's legs. "Wow," Han Fei asked in surprise, "what kind of combat skill is this?" "This is not a combat skill. This is just the basic use of manipulator abilities." Han Fei wanted to roll his eyes. "You call this a basic ability? Are you kidding me?" Beep, beep, beep. Before Han Fei and the others could think, the 7 dragon boats had already approached, and Han Fei could see people surging on those dragon boats. When Han Fei saw a spiritual energy shock wave smashing towards the ghost ship, he was stunned. What's the difference between this and cannons? Han Fei couldn't help but be shocked. Back then, how did the Spectre ship defeat 5 ships by itself? Did they fight against this terrifying shock wave? Fortunately, the shock wave was cut by the mystic lights after falling into the killing array. Although the scattered spiritual energy shock wave was still very strong, it was not enough to destroy the ghost ship on a large scale. However, fortunately, the dragon boats had cannons, so did the ghost ship. Besides, the ghost ship's cannons were more powerful, and the spiritual energy shock wave was dozens of times larger than that of the dragon boats. Damn, why is it so powerful? Han Fei didn't know how this spiritual energy shock wave was emitted. At this moment, he was perceiving it. However, he found that there were no cannons at all, but arrays. The so-called spiritual energy cannon was actually a large array. These arrays first gathered spiritual energy, then gathered it, and shot it out. This was as simple as a spirit gatherer sending spiritual energy into someone's body, except that the spiritual energy sent by the spirit gatherer was gentle, but the killing array was violent. For a moment, it became a scene of one ship firing cannons against 7 ships. For the first time, Han Fei didn't know that arrays could be used in this way. He was so fucking ignorant. Thinking of the spirit-gathering scripture left to him by old Jiang, Han Fei decided that after going back this time, he must master this array. This thing was too powerful. Think about it, if you fight with someone and you're doing fine. If you were to suddenly create a killing formation, it would be like a fucking chain of cannons, bombarding the enemy fiercely. Who would be able to withstand such a thing? Suddenly, Luo Xiaobai said, "Not good, the power of the killing array is beginning to weaken." Han Fei took a closer look. It was indeed weak. More than half of the 1,000 fishing boats that rushed in had been obliterated, and a small number of them were still resisting. In the sky, the hidden fishers shouted angrily, "Faceless, your ghost ship has done too many evil things. This time you will be defeated." Chapter 547. When the power of the killing formation weakened and the spiritual energy cannon of the dragon boat finally landed on the ghost ship, the faceless man was furious. As he stepped in the air, a huge shell illuminated the sky, but the shell was completely different from the shells ordinary people saw. Rather than calling it a shell, it would be more accurate to call it a large axe. It swept up a fierce gale as it descended from the sky. In Han Fei's eyes, Data appeared. Hiss. He has a legendary spiritual beast. Han Fei was stunned. Is a legendary spiritual beast so worthless? How many have I seen so far? Besides, this was just the introduction of the god-slaying clam, but it sounded like a legendary spiritual beast. As soon as the clam appeared, the hidden fisher was directly pressed into the water from the sky. He crossed his swords, trying to resist. However, the faceless man roared, "I said I'd kill you, so I'll kill you. You're just a hidden fisher. Stop." In the sky, a figure fell, but the axe had already chopped down, and the raging waves soared to the sky. The momentum and the remaining power shook the ground tens of thousands of meters, and a monstrous tsunami broke out. The other party's hidden fisher was dead. "Faceless, you've gone too far." A gray-haired old man appeared on the raging waves, pointing at the faceless man angrily. The faceless man laughed and said, "You should know me. The ghost ship works for money and is honest to all. Whoever dares to offend me, I'll kill him." Han Fei and the others couldn't help but swallow. His words were so fucking domineering, as if he was not afraid of anything. The ghost ship was shaking at this moment, and there were dozens of big holes in the hull, but surprisingly, it didn't sink. The hanging fishers had already retreated, looking horrified at the moment. They were just guarding the dragon boat, but they didn't know much about the ghost ship. Their predecessors had only warned them not to clash with Spectre ship, but no one had expected the owner of Spectre ship to be so powerful. A hidden fisher. He was killed just like that. "Welcome, Lord Enforcer." At that moment, the fishing boats outside that had been hesitant ran back crazily. The hidden fisher was killed, and the law enforcers were here. How could they live like this? How did he end up participating in the battle between the dragon boats and the Spectre? The moment the law enforcer landed, instead of fighting, he said to the hanging fishers, "Let's go." Those hanging fishers even suspected that their ears were damaged. The Spectre ship committed a crime on the spot, but the law enforcers didn't care. However, how dare these ordinary hanging fishers disobey the will of a law enforcer? He immediately retreated. In fact, even if the law enforcers didn't say anything, they would still retreat. The reason why they followed the hidden fisher to attack the ship this time was of course not because of the 5 of them. They were just an excuse for the dragon boats to attack the ghost ship. It was just that no one expected that the owner of the ghost ship was so powerful that he could kill a hidden fisher with an axe. Who the hell could continue to fight? When the dragon boats retreated, the sea was still turbulent, and there was still half of the 15 minutes left. In other words, this seemingly crazy battle actually lasted only a quarter of an hour. On the waves. The law enforcer glanced at the 5 of them and then looked at Faceless. The ghost ship has killed too many people. Even if I don't take action, someone else will. Faceless smiled disdainfully and said, killed too many people? Our ghost ship only takes action once every few decades, and the number of casualties is no more than 1,000. Those who practice in the fishery every day have killed themselves. You're telling me that you've killed too many people? The law enforcer narrowed his eyes. Different in nature. Faceless waved his hand impatiently. What do you mean different in nature? I think it's the same. Are you going to fight or not? If you don't, I'll withdraw my troops. I still have to repair the ship. The law enforcer said lightly, Faceless, you killed a hidden fisher guarding the level 3 fishery. You have to give us an explanation. Bah, bullshit. Just tell those bastards in the 1,000-star city that I killed him. If they are unhappy and want to retaliate, just come. I'll take it. Kill me if you dare. If you can't, I'll make the 1,000-star city decline for 20 years. Do you believe me? The old law enforcer was not annoyed but just smiled faintly. This is also an explanation. I'll go back and report to my superiors. But don't do it again. You know, there are not many people who are really afraid of you, Faceless. You know what they are afraid of. Humph. Faceless snorted coldly, not even looking at the old law enforcer. The law enforcer was also very sensible, as if the death of a hidden fisher was not a big deal to him. He didn't even pick up the body but walked away with his hands behind his back. Han Fei and the others were dumbfounded. That's a fucking law enforcer. You're running your mouth off with him. Are you that awesome? In the sky, the bright moonlight essence was still shining on the array, making the brilliance in the array more and more intense. Faceless landed on the boat and glanced at Han Fei and the others. How is it? Is it very powerful? Everyone, Luo Xiaobai asked, so, senior, who are you exactly? You chose to save us and are so hostile to the 1,000-star city. I think you are not from the 1,000-star city, so it has nothing to do with my family. So, it should have something to do with their background. But as far as I know, Han Fei and the others have not lived a complicated life since childhood. They shouldn't have an elder like you, so. Senior, are you related to the Thug Academy? Faceless glanced at Luo Xiaobai and shouted, guess, guess, guess. Luo Xiaobai shrugged. Okay, I already know the result. So, you are. Senior uncle. Han Fei was speechless. Xiaobai, how can you guess this? Luo Xiaobai nodded. You take care of us so much, and I heard that the Thug Academy is so strong. Isn't it clear enough? Han Fei curled his lips and said, if you were our senior uncle, would you ask us for money? Han Fei and Luo Xiaobai echoed each other, and the Faceless snorted coldly. What's wrong with senior uncle? Can't senior uncle ask for money? Don't you need to eat? Zhang Xuanyu and the others hurriedly exclaimed, is it really senior uncle? Lu Rinquang said, greetings, senior uncle. Xia Shaochan said, hello, senior uncle. The Faceless snorted and didn't deny it. However, he said, money has nothing to do with you. My specter has suffered a lot of damage and needs to be repaired with 5 billion yuan. Maybe it's not enough. Han Fei was so angry that his nose almost went crooked. What the fuck? Repairing the ship with 5 billion yuan is not enough? I've checked it. The dozens of holes are all ordinary spirit-level materials, which are abundant in the level 3 fishery. Han Fei asked, what about the spirit awakening fluid? What about the soul crystals? The Faceless waved his hand and said, no, none of them. I've already given you a lot of benefits. You still want to cheat me of the spirit awakening fluid? You wish. Lu Rinquan scratched his belly. Senior uncle, didn't we buy it? The faceless sneered. You can try to buy the spirit awakening fluid. Let's see who will sell it to you. Zhang Xuanyu said, Senior uncle, why don't you sell some more? Fuck off. Luo Xiaobai asked, Senior uncle, why are you in the level 3 fishery? Why do you control the specter? And why do you wear a mask? The faceless man said angrily, You, little girl, why do you have so many questions? Luo Xiaobai was stunned by his roar and was a little at a loss. Xia Shaochan roared, Senior uncle, what are you roaring for? Is your voice loud? Han Fei was speechless. These people are really stupid. Knowing that I'm one of them, they started to yell at me. The faceless man was speechless by Xia Shaochan's retort. What kind of fucking student is she? The faceless man sighed. It's getting harder and harder to teach students these days. You don't need to know why I'm in the level 3 fishery. It's impossible for me to return the money to you. But I would like to meet you guys. The faceless man stretched out his hand and waved, and a mist of light covered them. When he took off the mask, the 5 of them all gasped. Wow! Luo Xiaobai and Xia Shaochan almost took a step back subconsciously. Han Fei's eyelids twitched. Senior uncle, are you shameless? In front of everyone, there was really a faceless man. His face seemed to have been cut by a knife. His whole face had no eyes, no eyebrows, no nose. There was only a slit in his mouth, which seemed to have been cut by a knife. The faceless man snorted and immediately put on the mask. The reason why I took it off for you is to tell you that the future is very dangerous and the enemy is very strong. The future is very dangerous, and the enemy is very strong. You should cherish this opportunity. Chapter 548. He would be lying if he said he wasn't shocked. The strength that Junior Uncle Faceless displayed just now was boundlessly strong. Han Fei even felt that if this Junior Uncle Faceless fought with Xiao Zhan might not be able to beat him. Xiao Zhan had never launched such a strong attack before. The axe cleaved through the seawater. Han Fei smiled. Junior Uncle, it's nothing. I have 1,000 faces technique. Do you want it? You can change your face to whatever you want. With that said, Han Fei threw a jade slip over. Junior Uncle Faceless took it and was stunned. Demon level, divine quality. Didn't you buy a mysterious level disguise technique last time? How did it become a demon level divine quality one? Han Fei smiled. I happened to pick it up. Come on, you can try it again. It's a coincidence, however, the faceless man threw the jade slip back to Han Fei and said, it's useless. A heaven-level divine quality one may be useful, but a demon-level divine quality one is useless. Han Fei said slyly, Junior Uncle, it's fine if you don't want it. This is the first time we meet. Should I give you a gift? Fuck off. Junior Uncle Faceless waved his hand and pushed the 5 of them into the big array. Junior Uncle Faceless said, money is a bad thing. It can easily corrupt people. You don't need it now. Also, don't wear an ultra-quality battle suit all day. It's dazzling. At this moment, the big array seemed to have been activated, and everyone felt that their vision was a little blurred. In the end, everyone only heard her say, Han Fei, I just read your fortune again. Something is wrong. Your love tribulation is not over yet. You have to be careful and prepare some trump cards for yourself. Han Fei's face suddenly changed. Junior Uncle, don't slander me. What? Alas. Xia Shaochan, don't move. Blue Sea Town. The Level 2 Fishery. In the night, a bright beam of light in the sky suddenly smashed into the sea. After a while, 5 heads emerged from the sea. Han Fei was speechless. Huh? Is it a teleportation error? Why are we still at sea? Xia Shaochan had already slashed out with a shadowless knife and a dragon-head fish was cut in half. Dragon-head fish, this is the level 2 fishery. After a while, the 5 of them lay on the fishing boat, and the 9-tailed mantis shrimp lay on the top of the fishing boat, pulling the 9-star chain casually in the seawater, preventing those stupid creatures from climbing onto the fishing boat. Different from the creatures in the level 3 fishery, the creatures in the level 2 fishery were very stupid and had no intelligence at all. However, they always felt that they were particularly fierce and wanted to attack anyone they saw. So Han Fei could only ask Shrimp Ritian to protect them, and the 5 of them ate hot pot in the cabin. The hexagon starfish suddenly said, "Can I just stay here?" Lu Renquang said, "Huh." Senpai Hexagon, it would be great if you could come with us. The level 2 fishery is so boring. Xia Shaochan asked, "Big starfish, why do you always want to escape?" Holding a jar of wine, the hexagon starfish rolled its big eyes randomly as if it had suddenly collapsed. It wailed in the language of starfish, "It's too dangerous to follow you. Every time you guys fight, my brain feels like it's going to jump out. Starfish don't fight. Starfish can just find a small secret realm if they want to." Han Fei patted the deck and the hexagon starfish's tentacles trembled in fright. Han Fei said, "Dangerous? Dangerous? Didn't you lose a tentacle or something? You want to stay, don't you? Come on, I'll cut off one of your tentacles. Isn't it said that starfish only need one tentacle to grow a new starfish? Let the hexagon starfish stay here and you come with us." The hexagon starfish immediately shrank its 6 tentacles. "Who told you that? That's an ordinary starfish. It can give birth to new starfish with its tentacles. Starfish like us can't lose even one tentacle. Besides, this sea area doesn't have the ability to breed a second hexagon starfish." Han Fei grinned. "That's it. Don't talk nonsense. You can eat and drink whatever you want. What else do you want?" Threatened by Han Fei, the hexagon starfish suddenly stopped talking, only full of feelings. Starfish, 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 starfish. Why did starfish meet this terrible human being? After a hearty meal, Zhang Xuanyu asked, "When are you going back to school?" Han Fei asked, "Back?" Everyone looked at Han Fei, and Lu Renquang said, "No, why not?" Han Fei said leisurely, "You see, we've been working hard in the level 3 fishery for 8 or 9 months, right? There are still more than 2 months to go before the 1-year deadline. How about we play for 2 months? Xia Shaochan immediately asked curiously, "Play what?" Han Fei said, "Oh. Just rest for 2 months, floating on the sea every day, occasionally basking in the sun, fishing, eating hot pot, and relaxing. What do you think?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. "I'll go back to school." Zhang Xuanyu asked, "Can I go home?" Everyone was surprised, and Lu Renquang said, "Didn't you float back from another town? How do you go back?" Zhang Xuanyu shrugged. "I float back the way I came here." Han Fei nodded. "We'll go with you. We can also see what other villages are like." Zhang Xuanyu shook his head. "I'll go back alone to deal with something." Luo Xiaobai said, "No." Zhang Xuanyu shouted, "Why not?" Luo Xiaobai glanced at him. "You can't cross the no man's land. I don't know how you floated here and how the president brought you back. But you can't do it alone. Either someone goes with you, or go back to school and then go." Zhang Xuanyu, Lu Renquang shook his head. "No, I want to lie in the sun, sleep, and eat hot pot." Han Fei was about to speak when Xia Shaochan pinched him. Forget it, I'll go home too." Xia Shaochan said, "I'll go with Han Fei." Zhang Xuanyu was stunned for a long time, and then reluctantly looked at Luo Xiaobai. "Will you go back with me?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. "Yes." The next day, Zhang Xuanyu and Luo Xiaobai left on a ghost speed divine boat. Han Fei looked at Xia Shaochan and said, "Why don't we go and have a look?" Before Xia Shaochan spoke, Lu Rinquang said, "Are you stupid? Why did Zhang Xuanyu float here from another town alone? There must be a reason. Since he said he wanted to be alone this time, there must be something he doesn't want us to see." Xia Shaochan nodded. Yes. Besides, Xiao Bai is from a big family in the Thousand-Star City. He's not afraid at all. You can't help him. Han Fei was speechless. Humph. Nonsense. Han Fei was speechless when he saw Lu Rinquang humming a strange accent while setting up the hot pot. This guy was a fucking pig. He had just had 2 meals last night and now he was having a 3rd meal. Han Fei said, "Master Fatty, you can eat here. If you're full, go back to school by yourself." Lu Rinquang was taken aback. "Wait, are you going too? Didn't you say you wanted to bask in the sun and eat hot pot?" Han Fei rolled his eyes. "I said I was joking. I need to calm down. I need to empty myself." Xia Shaochan said, "Quang Quang, go back by yourself after eating." When she was about to leave, Xia Shaochan pulled Master Hexagon Starfish off Han Fei's shoulder and threw it to Lu Rinquang. "Take the big starfish back with you. Otherwise, I'll deal with you." Lu Rinquang, on the way to the Heavenly Water Village. Han Fei asked, "Xia Shaochan, where is your home?" Xia Shaochan tilted her head and said, "I don't know." Han Fei was helpless. "Is there no one in your family?" Xia Shaochan thought for a while and said, "I have a grandmother, but she is gone." Han Fei was taken aback. "Oh. I'm sorry for your loss." Ba, ba, ba. Don't be sad. My grandmother is not dead. She just left. Huh? Han Fei asked in surprise, "Left? Where did she go?" Xia Shaochan shook her head. "I don't know. She seems to have gone to a place far, far away. She said that one day, when I can defeat a man with wings, I might be able to find her." Puff. Han Fei asked in astonishment, "A hidden fissure?" Xia Shaochan nodded. "Yes. I didn't know it until later." Han Fei couldn't help but wonder. It seemed that Xia Shaochan's origin was also very extraordinary. Luo Xiaobai was only from the Thousand-Star City, so she should be above his head. Xia Shaochan was not above his head, and he had to defeat a hidden fissure to find her. How long would it take? Xia Shaochan asked, "What about you? Didn't you say that there was no one at home?" Han Fei said with a smile, "There is no one at home, but I still have a mansion and fertile land at home." Xia Shaochan nodded. "But why don't we go back to school directly?" Han Fei said with a headache, "I have a hunch that something will happen as soon as we go back to school. We haven't reached the deadline yet. We have to take the time to relax and calm down. Otherwise, I'm afraid we won't have a chance later." "Hey, okay. Anyway, I have nowhere to go. Let's go and see what your parents are like." "Okay." The fishing boat drew a beautiful arc in the sky, gradually disappearing in the colorful clouds and the early morning glow. Chapter 549. He could never get enough of the scenery on Levitating Island. When he got up in the morning, the sun shrouded the ocean, the golden red light poured between the clouds, and countless fishermen went out to sea to fish. This was a magnificent scene, full of life. In the plantation, Han Fei opened his eyes from cultivation. When the first ray of dawn shone, the spiritual energy in the entire plantation would riot. A huge amount of spiritual energy gathered and spread in the plantation. Han Fei's body ignited with flames. However, a ball of water immediately enveloped him until the flames were extinguished. Han Fei stopped cultivating and looked up at the rising sun. This was the 10th time he had tried to absorb the spiritual energy in the sun. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it every time. But Han Fei was sure that the sun seemed to contain not only spiritual energy, but also mysterious energy that was more violent than spiritual energy, which could gather spiritual energy in an instant. If he was careless, he might be burned by the sky fire. Han Fei had never understood why there were no birds or beasts on the floating island. This place was not small, and there were a large number of rock nests on the floating island, which should be enough for hundreds of millions of birds to live in, right? Ring! Ring! Just when Han Fei was pondering, Xia Shaochan, dressed in beautiful clothes, came to the center of the plantation at the end of the path. Since Han Fei left the Heavenly Water Village, the people of the Fish Dragons had not been idle at all. The training ground used by Han Fei and Jiang Qin had been polished, paved with bluestones, and a path leading to the gate of the plantation had been opened. Xia Shaochan said to Han Fei with sleepy eyes, "I want to eat potstickers." Han Fei stretched his body and said, "You can make it yourself." "Didn't I teach you how to make it?" Xia Shaochan hummed and said lazily, "No, it's not as delicious as yours." After a moment. On the wooden table at the gate of the plantation, Han Fei carried 4 large plates of potstickers, 2 for each of them. This was the benefit of cultivation. If cultivators wanted to eat, they could eat as much as they wanted. They could eat from morning to night without worrying about getting fat. Han Fei picked up a potsticker and dipped it into the vinegar on the plate. "Today, we're going to the school next door to mobilize the teachers and students. Do you think we should prepare some gifts or something?" Xia Shaochan was stuffing potstickers into her mouth, not caring about her image at all. She raised her head and said to Han Fei, "Can you send a few fish, or a few crabs, lobsters, or something?" Han Fei asked in surprise, "Isn't it too cheap? Don't we still have more than 600 battle techniques? I think we can just throw 100 books here. What do you think?" Xia Shaochan shook her head. Among those combat skills and techniques, the lowest level is the spiritual level, which they can't use at all. If you want to put up books, then put up 10 or so books as a reward for outstanding students in the future. Han Fei nodded solemnly. Sounds reasonable. The situation of the Heavenly Water Village had changed slightly. It turned out that there were 4 schools in the east, west, south, north, and south, but now there was another one next to the plantation. The name of this school was Fish Dragon Central Primary School, which was a casual name given by Han Fei. At first, Han Fei only planned to let some of the children of the Fish Dragons study in it. In the future, when they grew up, they could continue to fill in the blood of the Fish Dragons. It wouldn't be like the Blue Sea Town, where a large number of outsiders were hired to manage gang affairs. In Han Fei's words, this was called sustainable development. Although he didn't intend to spend time on the Fish Dragons, it was easy for him to put forward some constructive suggestions. Later, he found that the strength and talent of the children attending classes in the Fish Dragon Central Primary School were generally higher, because of the rich supply of resources here. It could be described in 3 words, and that was, not short of money. As a result, many people in the Heavenly Water Village wanted to send their children here. Because of this, many people scrambled to join the Fish Dragons, which made the Fish Dragons expand again and again and forced to become the largest gang in the history of the Heavenly Water Village. Because the tradition of the Fish Dragons was not to bully the people and drive the sustainable economic development of the village. Therefore, now all the famous people in the village had to register with the Fish Dragons. For example, at this moment, in the office of the Fish Dragon Central Primary School, Han Fei's teacher, Wang Jia, was invited by the gang to serve as the honorary principal of the Fish Dragon Central Primary School. Originally, the position of principal should have belonged to the old village leader. However, the village leader refused, saying that he was the head of a village after all, and it would be inappropriate for him to be the principal of a school. Because he Xiaoyu used to have a good relationship with Han Fei, he Mingtang was inexplicably invited to serve as the vice principal of the Fish Dragon Central Primary School. At this moment, Han Fei came over with several caddies of pot stickers and greeted Wang Jia and he Mingtang. "Teacher, good morning." Wang Jia had never thought that Han Fei would become one of the best students he had ever had. When he saw Han Fei again, he sighed with emotion. As for the other student, Tang Gu, he thought he might not be able to see him anymore. After entering the Thousand-Star City, how could he have a chance to come back? Wang Jie joked, I asked you to come here to motivate the students. But you didn't come until you had dinner at home. It's already time for class. Han Fei smiled and said, you have to eat. Here, I brought some for you and Mr. He. Wang Jie took the pot stickers without hesitation, grabbed one, stuffed it into his mouth, and then handed it to He Mingtang. Old He, have some. He Mingtang got up, grabbed a pot sticker, and stuffed it into his mouth. He glanced at Han Fei and Xia Shaochan next to him. Han Fei. You two have stayed in the village for almost a month instead of going back to the town. Aren't you afraid of being punished by the teachers? Han Fei said with a smile, our trial is not over yet. When we left, we said it would be a year, but we're still half a month late. He Mingtang took a deep look at Han Fei. Young man, restrain yourself. The more outstanding you are, the more you can't slack off. Are you two going to get married? Pooh, cough, cough. Xia Shaochan blushed. After getting married, she would have children. She didn't dare to think about it at all. Han Fei was embarrassed. How can I get married? How old am I? Han Fei hurriedly said, no, I don't. It's a good time for us to cultivate and study. We still have to go to the unknown place in the future. It's too early to get married. The unknown place. Wang Jie and He Mingtang looked serious. That's a dangerous place. They didn't know where the unknown place was and what it looked like, they didn't know what the level 3 fishery was like either. Even He Mingtang was only a peak-level fishing master and hadn't become a great fishing master yet. How could he know so much? But that was one thing. They had all heard of the rumors of the unknown place. In their ears, they had never heard that one could come back from the unknown place after going there. He Mingtang sighed with emotion. How long has it been? In less than 4 years, Han Fei, who he thought was not promising, had become a genius who could go to the level 3 fishery. Yes, in He Mingtang's view, anyone who could go to the level 3 fishery was already a genius. During this period of time, his daughter had been working hard to reach the point where she could be both a battle soul master and a hunter. At this moment, she could be regarded as an influential figure in the first academy of the Blue Sea town. However, she could only go to the level 2 fishery to cultivate. It would take at least 2 years for her to go to the level 3 fishery. The mobilization meeting was actually very simple. Most of the students here were members of the fish dragons, and all of them were full of admiration for Han Fei. They felt that it was extremely remarkable that Han Fei could single-handedly wipe out the former tigers, establish the fish dragons, and lead the fish dragons to prosperity. Han Fei made some nonsensical remarks. He talked about studying hard, making progress every day, and striving to enter the Blue Sea town. Li Qing had been following Han Fei. Until now, he still felt that it was a very wise choice to betray the tigers and follow Han Fei. Han Fei said in front of all the teachers and students, everyone, listen up. From now on, all cultivation resources will be doubled. Any student of this school who becomes a fishing master will be given a weapon and a fishing rod. Whoever becomes a great fishing master will be given a low-quality spiritual weapon and a spiritual fruit. Good luck. Huh. Thank you, leader. Leader, you're so powerful. Help me, I love you. Leader, Wang Jie and the others clicked their tongues. This is fucking rich. Wang Jie elbowed He Mingtang. Old He. Why didn't you keep an eye on this kid? If he becomes Xiao Yu's girlfriend, he will be a member of our family. He Mingtang sighed. Who knew that this kid would be so outstanding later? However, I won't force him. I told Xiao Yu not to force him either. After all, not everyone can follow Han Fei's path. I heard that Han Fei killed a hanging fisher in the level 3 fishery. Even if Xiaoyu can follow him, do you think it will be a blessing or a curse? Wang Jia was shocked. Really, fake? This is not a joke. He Mingtang sighed. Xiaoyu told her that it was Xiang Zuozua, a heavenly talent from the Blue Sea town. The news is absolutely true. Wang Jia was stunned for a long time. What are you afraid of? Look, isn't he fine now? Chapter 550. After leaving the Fish Dragon Central Primary School, Han Fei asked Xia Shaochan to go to sea. The village leader said he would come to visit in the evening, so Han Fei planned to go to the fishery to get some seafood. After all, the ordinary creatures in Forge the Universe were all given to little time last time. As for the remaining yellow-blooded sea cucumbers, the village leader might not be able to bear it. Of course, in addition to catching some seafood, Han Fei also planned to wander around the 8 villages today. 1 hour later, Han Fei appeared over the Heavenly Wood Village. As its name suggested, the Heavenly Wood Village was basically covered by big trees, and most people lived in the trees or built tree houses in the forest. Only the area near the port was open air, probably for the convenience of going to sea or something. Han Fei had flown around the Heavenly Wood Village several times, holding a fish skin map and drawing something from time to time. Xia Shaochan asked curiously, haven't you studied it thoroughly? What's there to draw about these villages? Han Fei shook his head and said, do you remember that junior uncle Faceless told us that the level 3 fishery is a big array? Xia Shaochan nodded. Yes. Aren't there arrays between the floating islands? Han Fei nodded. Yes. What kind of array is it that spans hundreds of thousands of kilometers? I can't study the level 3 fishery, but I can study the arrays between the villages and towns first. Han Fei had too many questions to figure out in the level 3 fishery. What secrets were hidden in the sea grassland? Why could people transform into fish there? What was the book in Forge the Universe that he didn't dare to open? Why did the undersea city fall? Why did it fight against the fish tide in the sea for hundreds of years? What was the altar of the steps into the sea? Where did the offerings go, and where did the rewards come from? What was sealed under the steps into the sea? Who cut out the cracks in the abyssal chasm? What was hidden in that arcane realm that could not be entered and that could not be reached? Han Fei felt that everyone was wrapped in a series of huge secrets. Of course, Han Fei didn't have the ability to explore those things now. However, the trip to the level 3 fishery made him fully realize the importance of arrays. Especially the killing arrays, those things were so terrifying that they could kill a large number of peak-level dangling fishers. Those who didn't have the ability didn't dare to break the killing arrays. Xia Shaochan asked, what have you found out? Han Fei pondered for a long time. I found out that every village should be the eye of the array. Puff. Xia Shaochan rolled her eyes at Han Fei. Do I need you to tell me that? I know that. Han Fei shrugged. It wasn't his fault. He really didn't understand. He really didn't understand. Village, in the plantation, Han Fei made a few dishes and said with a smile, Grandpa Leader, can I ask you something? Has been, the village, town grassland. The village leader was coveting the steamed lobster. He was stunned for a moment. 100 years. God, village, town, Fei, Xiaoping, town. County school Fei's town Fei school. The village that dragon had school. Fei school is Shan school. Show time. Long time, the town family school has school Li Zhou Xiao school, long school, Li, Zhou Fei town, have town. School. Tian High City, town village school. The Heavenly Water Village used to be next door to the Heavenly Heart Village, and it was the closest place to the Heavenly Heart Village. Unfortunately, it declined and was moved to where it is now. Han Fei asked in surprise, our village used to be next to the Heavenly Heart Village. The village leader picked up a large piece of lobster meat, stuffed it into his mouth, and nodded in praise. TSK, not bad. It used to be. Our heavenly water village used to have many talents and great fishing masters. Later, many of them died in the level 3 fishery and then declined. Xia Shaochan wondered, then didn't you continue to cultivate talents? The village leader smiled bitterly. Sometimes, it depends on luck. Only when geniuses rise will there be people who will follow them. If no geniuses are born for a period of time, the village will decline. This is an unchanging truth. Han Fei asked, is there nothing else important? Like sea monsters or something like that? The village leader said, yes. This is recorded in the annals of our heavenly water village. But you don't have to read it. About 50 years ago, it is said that a giant dragon passed through the ordinary fishery and finally plunged into the ordinary fishery. However, I didn't see it at that time. I just heard about it. Should we go fishing or not? Han Fei frowned. In this kind of place, he would rather believe in some legends. This experience made him deeply realize that he didn't know much about the known fisheries. Sizzle. The village leader took a sip of wine and said, and it seems to be about 8 or 9 years ago. Anyway, it was about 10 years ago. At that time, dozens of hidden fishers came to the heavenly water village. I remember that day very clearly. There was a big boat in the sky and the clouds in the sky were scattered. The hidden fishers stood on the bow of the boat and a battle broke out in the sky. Han Fei's eyes lit up. What battle? The village leader said grumpily, how would I know? What was my level and what was their level? I couldn't even see who was fighting who. Anyway, the battle lasted less than half an hour and they left. Han Fei picked up a drunken lobster and put it into his mouth in disappointment. This battle was a bit interesting, but the village leader didn't know anything, so he couldn't understand it. The village leader said, why do you ask this? You invited me to dinner just to ask this? Han Fei chuckled. I just want to know the history of our heavenly water village. The village leader smacked his lips and said, what's there to know? By the way, when will you and Miss Shaochan get married? You're going to be old soon. Do you want to leave a seed in the village? Puff. Cough, cough, Xia Shaochan coughed out a fish ball, her face flushed. Han Fei was speechless. No, Grandpa Leader, am I old? We young people should work hard to cultivate, strive to transcend, and strive to enter the 1,000-star city and the unknown sea. Xia Shaochan agreed very much. Yes, Han Fei is right. The village leader shook his head slightly. Young people like to take risks. So do you, so do Xia Wushuang, and even he Xiaoyu. Alas! Han Fei, suddenly, he heard the village chief say, that sickly father of yours also loves to brag. In the end, he blew his own trumpet until he disappeared. Han Fei was taken aback. Wait, village leader, do you know my father? The village leader sneered. I know many people in the heavenly water village. Your father, right? He was clearly not that strong, and he was even weaker than me back then. But he was strong enough, wasn't he? At that time, he bragged about how powerful he was in the unknown place, but when I asked him what the unknown place was, he couldn't tell me anything. How could a great fishing master know anything about the unknown place? In the end, he died outside, didn't he? Han Fei frowned. That's not what I remember. Although his memories of his cheap father were rather vague, he had always remembered that his cheap father had died in the unknown place, right? Suddenly, Han Fei froze. That's not right. How strong must one be to go to the unknown place? Doesn't that mean that my father was at least a peak-level dangling fisher? Han Fei couldn't remember for a while. In his memory, someone seemed to come to him and tell him that his father died in the unknown place outside the level 3 fishery. Tang Gu also knew about this. The crux of the matter was not where this cheap father had died. If he was a strong master, why would he stay in a small place like the heavenly water village? On the next day, Han Fei and Xia Shaochan explored the ordinary fishery for the nth time. Just like Jiang Qin, Han Fei searched almost inch by inch, especially those places covered by seaweed. Han Fei specially went to check them. Unfortunately, in the end, he still couldn't find anything amiss. At this moment, Han Fei emerged from the water and saw Xia Xiaochan's 2 feet splashing water. Xia Xiaochan saw Han Fei and said directly, "Boring, boring." Han Fei wiped the seawater on his face and said, "Okay, let's go back. Go back and inform the village leader and the others. Let's go back to school." Han Fei didn't bother to search anymore. At that time, Jiang Qin almost turned the ordinary fishery upside down and finally found the news about the sea-quelling painting by accident. He didn't want to stay in this place for 3 or 5 years just to solve some doubts in his heart. Just as the two were about to return to the village, they saw a fishing boat flying over in the sky, and He Mingtang stood on the bow and waved. Before the fishing boat landed, he heard He Mingtang shouting, "Han Fei, save Xiaoyu." Han Fei's face changed and he hurriedly asked, "What happened?" He Mingtang quickly took a breath. The village leader just got the news that a group of teachers and students of the first academy had an accident in the deep-sea jungle of the level 2 fishery. Xiaoyu should be among them. Because the Blue Sea town is far away and you happen to be here, the village leader asked me to find you as soon as possible. Han Fei said, "Mr. He, don't be excited. I'll go now." He Mingtang nodded. "I'll go too." Han Fei nodded. "Get on the boat." First update. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 551. He Mingtang was dumbfounded. He had never been on such a fast fishing boat. In a few seconds, the fishing boat had gone straight up to the clouds, breaking through the air. Han Fei said, "Mr. He, don't worry. Do you know when they had an accident?" He Mingtang shook his head. "I don't know. They only said that Xiaoyu and the others went there without permission. The teachers of the first academy soon found out and immediately sent someone back to the town, and then immediately sent someone to inform the village leaders of the nearest villages to rescue them." Han Fei frowned. 6 hours? Xia Xiaochan suddenly said, "Did their teacher find them as soon as they went down?" He Mingtang nodded. "It seems so. After someone went back to call them, the teacher seemed to have gone down too." Xia Xiaochan looked at Han Fei. "How long did we stay down there?" Han Fei frowned. "It doesn't seem to be long. The point is that we don't know where they went down. We have to walk around to find out." The speed of the wind god boat was astonishingly fast. At full speed, it only took them less than an hour to arrive. When Han Fei arrived, he saw a group of students on the periphery of the deep-sea jungle, none of whom he knew. The sudden appearance of Han Fei's fishing boat startled everyone. Someone immediately recognized him. Han Fei. Xia Xiaochan. Han Fei didn't beat around the bush but asked directly, "Where did they disappear?" Immediately, someone said, "Just ahead, about 50 kilometers. Swish. The wind god boat flashed away, leaving only a red shadow in everyone's eyes. After Han Fei and the others left, someone said dumbfoundedly, "Aren't Han Fei and the others in the level 3 fishery?" Someone was stunned. "What kind of fishing boat is that? It's so fast." Someone said in surprise, "I heard that Han Fei and the others once broke into the deep-sea jungle. We can definitely rescue them." Han Fei didn't need to use the fishing boat at all. He could directly explore the bottom with his perception. When he was 50 kilometers away, Han Fei found traces of battle and people had died here. However, he didn't find He Xiaoyu and the others. Besides, this was the area near the clam silkworm's domain. It was really dangerous to go down from this place. The wind god boat shuttled back and forth above the deep-sea jungle, and it only took it 100 minutes to find these people beside the sea willow. When he saw these people, Han Fei was dumbfounded. There were a few familiar faces in the group. There were Wang Baiyu, Xia Wushuang, Xiang Zuozua, Lin Xinmu, and Su Yabai. At this moment, they seemed to be in a rather sorry state. Xiang Zuozua raised her hammer and fought against the roar of the wooden fish. Lin Xinmu stood in front of everyone with a piece of spirit crystal. Su Yabai was trying to pluck a fruit from the sea willow. Han Fei was relieved and said, "Mr. He, it's okay. He's down there." He Mingtang was stunned. "Ah. How did you know?" Xia Shaochan smiled. "He's fine. He's fighting. He's quite good, isn't he, Han Fei?" Xia Shaochan said in a teasing tone. As a matter of fact, He Xiaoyu dodged the wooden fish's tongues that were coming at her at a high speed like an agile elf. He Xiaoyu was hovering among the willow trees with 2 daggers in her hands. Su Yabai was only helping He Xiaoyu shake off the tongues so that she could grab the wood spiritual fruit. Han Fei chuckled dryly. He Xiaoyu was using the full set of the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies. The only thing that Han Fei didn't understand was when He Xiaoyu became a hunter. Han Fei said, "She picked 3 fruits for them." Xia Shaochan said, "Don't look down on her. After all, she's a dangling fisher now. It would be strange if she couldn't get the fruits." He Mingtang asked anxiously, "What's going on down there? Why aren't you anxious at all?" Han Fei said, "Mr. He, don't worry. There are 3 intermediate dangling fishers down there. Are you worried that something will happen to Xiaoyu?" Dangling fishers? Thud. The surface of the sea trembled. He Mingtang was startled, but he took a long breath in relief. There are dangling fishers. Why should we ask for help? I was so scared. Han Fei said, "Maybe someone arrived first. Let's just wait up there. I'll take action when necessary." At this moment, Han Fei and Xia Shaochan looked at each other. They both remembered a tiny tray ant. At that time, they tried to attack the tiny tray ant, but the tiny tray ant didn't fight back. Then, when Ren Yu arrived in time and allowed them to grab 5 wood spiritual fruits. At this moment, He Xiaoyu and the others had grabbed 3, but the tiny tray ant didn't come out. Xia Shaochan suggested, "Should I go down and look for it?" Han Fei nodded. "Okay, you go down and take a look first. I'll see if I can find it up there." He Mingtang asked, "What are you looking for?" Han Fei said, "There's a special creature in this water. As long as the creature doesn't come out, He Xiaoyu and the others will be fine. However, I think it's coming out soon." "A special creature? Underwater?" Xiang Zuozua said angrily, "Damn it, these wooden fish are too annoying. Su Yabai, can you control them?" Su Yabai said telepathically, "They're too dense. Moreover, from the start, the power of the rumbling has become stronger, as if something is controlling these trees." Lin Xinmu said, "Hurry up. Although we're already dangling fishers, my spiritual energy is not enough for so many of you." Lin Xinmu said, "He Xiaoyu, you're agile. Follow Xiang Zuozua and grab the wood spiritual fruits as soon as she breaks the attack." Xia Wushuang was waving his sword. "Hey, I can't hit them. Are these trees sentient?" Wang Baiyu held his shield and protected himself and Lin Xingmu. He couldn't help but say, "I should have practiced swordsmanship earlier. It's useless to leave them here." He Xiaoyu was standing on Xiang Zuozua's sledgehammer and leaping out. She moved and twisted among the countless vines, reaching for a glowing wood spiritual fruit. "Got it." He Xiaoyu suddenly beamed with joy. She cut off a willow branch and was about to return. But after she retreated dozens of meters, she suddenly felt a pain in her head, and then she was thrown away. Xiang Zuozua roared, "Not good. Something's coming." Hardly had Xiang Zuozua shouted when Su Yabai, who was controlling the spider threads, was slapped away by a vine and rolled dozens of times on the ground. Xiang Zuozua raised her water hammer, and the shadow of the hammer was dozens of meters long, smashed at the whipping vine. Bam! Xiang Zuozhuo was flung away and rolled in the water for a while. At the same time, Lin Xinmu, Xia Wushuang, and Wang Baiyu were all slapped away. A voice suddenly came to everyone's ears. Enough. Don't take any more. He Xiaoyu was stunned, bleeding from her eyes, nose, and mouth. What's talking? She was dumbfounded to see a little tray ant emerging from the bottom of the sea. A talking tray ant? Xiang Zuozhuo was too impatient to care about what it was. How could she, a dangling fisher, be defeated in the level 2 fishery? Pa! The vine broke through the air and whipped Xiang Zuozhuo violently again. Don't come again. However, nobody listened. Lin Xinmu covered them with spider threads, and Lin Xinmu covered them with a layer of spiritual armor. The two of them charged at the little tray ant at the same time. Pa! A dry vine suddenly appeared and wrapped the two of them. They were defeated so quickly that Lin Xinmu hurriedly said, "Senior, let's go. Let's go." However, the little tray ant ignored him and looked up. A golden fist mark fell from the sky. Pa! 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 After 3 consecutive lashes, the fist mark was broken. But then, dozens of fist marks smashed down. However, at the same time, hundreds of withered vines appeared in the seawater and whipped at these fist marks. The little tray ant had no time to care about He Xiaoyu and Xia Wushuang. Instead, it asked in confusion, "It's you? You're here again." When Han Fei appeared in the water, He Xiaoyu was stunned. He Xiaoyu said in surprise, "Han Fei?" Xia Wushuang asked, "Why are you here? Am I dreaming?" Xiang Zuozhuo was stunned to see Han Fei. "You're back." Su Yebai and Lin Xingmu were not familiar with Han Fei, so they just nodded. They were no match for Han Fei, but they didn't want to suck up to him. Especially after Han Fei caused so much trouble in the level 3 fishery, they knew very well that it would be a piece of cake for Han Fei to kill them. The little tray ant said, "Human, you shouldn't have come." Han Fei said with a smile, "The wood's spiritual fruit is not valuable. The 6 of them only have 4. Give me 2 more." The little tray ant suddenly lashed back, but Xia Xiaochan's figure flashed. Then, Xia Xiaochan performed the 1,000-strike technique and pierced the little tray ant into a plug in the blink of an eye. When Xia Xiaochan stopped attacking, the withered vines on the ground twisted, and the little tray ant reappeared unscathed. He Xiaoyu and the others were dumbfounded by this scene. How fast was Xia Xiaochan just now? How could such a strong little tray ant be crushed in the blink of an eye? The little tray ant looked at Xia Xiaochan. "Human, don't force me to fight." Han Fei narrowed his eyes and said, "So what if I fight?" Second update. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 552. The little tray ant didn't know what kind of creature it was. Seeing Han Fei's eagerness, it didn't remind him again. Han Fei's heart skipped a beat and he shouted, "Back off." A withered vine suddenly appeared in front of Han Fei. Han Fei punched it 8 times in a row with the art of invincibility to block it. But the second vine had already arrived. At this time, Han Fei activated the majestic mystic spell and the art of invincibility again. But the result was the same. He was blasted back dozens of meters again. Xia Xiaochan was flashing with red light, but she was no match for the little tray ant in speed and was also slapped away. Han Fei was shocked. "Even with the majestic mystic spell, I still can't beat it." Han Fei's eyes turned cold, and the red light on his fist was blazing. The terrifying power made the seawater tremble. Again. As soon as the sacrificing punch was launched, the fist marked tens of meters in size flew through the seawater like a fiery dragon. The soil under its feet exploded, and the terrifying power swept across a radius of 100 meters. The little tray ant threw out its vine expressionlessly. This time, it was no longer a thin vine, but a withered vine as thick as 10 meters. Rumble, on the sea, He Mingtang was waiting anxiously, and then he felt the seawater bulge. The students of the first academy waiting outside the deep-sea jungle were all shocked. What happened? It seems to be happening underwater. Such a violent vibration. Did something happen down there? Under the water, He Xiaoyu and the others were directly shaken out. This battle was no longer something they could watch. Han Fei slid back dozens of meters again. However, this time the little treant also slid back dozens of meters. When Xia Shaochan was about to attack again, Han Fei said to her via voice transmission, "Stop fighting." Han Fei was still frightened. He guessed that if he continued to fight, he wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. Han Fei looked at the little treant. "Why are you in the level 2 fishery?" The little treant said, "No need to ask. Leave." The corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up. 5 with spiritual fruits. The little treant pondered for a moment. "You have already eaten." Han Fei said mischievously, "I have a few junior brothers." The little treant put down its rattan-like hand and paused for a moment. "Next time, there will be no more." With that, 5 with spiritual fruits flew to Han Fei. Han Fei grinned. "Hey! When can I come again?" The little treant paused and looked at Han Fei, which made Han Fei's blood freeze. Han Fei shrugged. Okay. I'll go, okay." Then, Han Fei looked at He Xiaoyu and the others and threw 2 with spiritual fruits at them. "What are you waiting for? Go up." On the surface of the water, He Xiaoyu was surprised to see He Mingtang. "Dad, why are you here?" He Mingtang extended his finger and pressed it against He Xiaoyu's forehead. You're getting crazier and crazier. What place is dangerous? Why do you run there? He's already gone to ask for help. Otherwise, why do you think I'm here? He Xiaoyu bared her white teeth and said, "Dad, I'm fine." Then He Xiaoyu looked at Han Fei and secretly glanced at Xia Shaochan, saying with a smile, "Han Fei, when did you come back?" Han Fei shrugged. "I've been back for a while. Mister He has known it for a long time, but you don't go back to the Heavenly Water Village now." Then Han Fei looked at Suezwa and the other 2. Han Fei said, "A soul warrior, a spirit gatherer, and a manipulator. Where is Li Hani?" If you had an armorist who attacks in a large area, he would have picked the fruits. The little treant probably wouldn't have come out. Everyone was speechless. "Don't you know why Li Hani didn't come?" Xia Shaochan added, "You're a disgrace to the dangling fishers." Xiang Zuozua said angrily, "Disgrace? It's because the wooden fish is too annoying. Otherwise, I would have snatched it." Han Fei didn't bother to talk to Xiang Zuozua. He bumped Xia Wushuang's shoulder and said with a smile, "Back to school or back to the village?" Xia Wushuang nodded. Back to the village, back to the village. It's rare to see each other. Let's have dinner tonight." This was a daunting but not dangerous experience. He Mingtang was the one who was the most afraid. However, now the girl's strength had surpassed his, and he couldn't do anything about it. In the evening, they just had a casual dinner in the plantation. At the dinner table, He Xiaoyu said, "I heard that you made a big deal in the level 3 fishery." Han Fei wondered, how did the town know about the level 3 fishery? Xia Wushuang said with a smile, "Have you forgotten who we're going to train with today? It's said that you made a lot of noise." Ahem. I just want to ask, what realm are you in now? Wang Baiyu, Xia Wushuang, and He Xiaoyu's eyes were shining. They were all fucking hanging fishers. This was beyond their imagination. They had discussed in private that Han Fei had probably become a hanging fisher at this time. Han Fei smiled and said, "I'm still a dangling fisher." Phew. The 3 of them breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. Otherwise, they would be scared to death. However, even if he was a dangling fisher, it was amazing enough. At first glance, they knew he was much stronger than Xiang Zuozua and the others. Han Fei said, "Don't go to the deep-sea jungle in the future. It's weird there. Xia Shaochan looked at Han Fei. When you were fighting, I went to look for it, but I didn't find anything strange. Han Fei said, it means that we are not strong enough. Xia Shaochan nodded and ate. She was completely unfamiliar with He Xiaoyu and the others. Besides, she was a little uncomfortable. She hadn't adapted to this month's life yet. She felt that she still liked school life, where there were only a few people, and everyone was very familiar with each other. This meal was very ordinary, and also very strange. He Xiaoyu and Xia Shaochan didn't talk from beginning to end. He Xiaoyu glanced at Han Fei from time to time, and Xia Shaochan, who had been with Han Fei for a long time, saw it. She stepped on Han Fei's foot under the dinner table. Han Fei couldn't bear it. We are just fucking pure friends. After the meal, Han Fei warmly saw them off. He Xiaoyu suddenly said, Han Fei, will you go to the 36 town competition? What competition? Wang Baiyu shrugged. Not necessarily. Who are they going to fight? He Xiaoyu nodded. When the time comes, we will also go with them. See you then. Han Fei sent them away in a daze and looked back. It seems that there is some kind of competition between the towns. Xia Shaochan didn't care about this but looked at Han Fei and said, He Xiaoyu likes you. Han Fei raised his eyebrows. You know about it again? Xia Shaochan nodded quickly. During the meal, she glanced at you 201 times. Han Fei was amused. You counted that too? Xia Shaochan squinted at Han Fei. You said it yourself. You can't kiss others or have children with others after you fall in love. Han Fei laughed and was about to grab Xia Shaochan and kiss her hard. Unfortunately, Xia Shaochan flashed and sat on the roof. I can't let you kiss me all the time. You will stick out your tongue. Han Fei. In the evening, Han Fei didn't cultivate but slept contentedly. When he got up in the morning and was about to make breakfast, he saw Wenren sitting at the table as soon as he went out. Holding her chin with one hand, she was looking at the sun. Han Fei was stunned. Ms. Wenren? Wenren looked back at Han Fei with a smile. Hey! Isn't this student Han Fei? I heard that you've been back for a month. Han Fei immediately looked up at the sky. Ah! Well. Ms. Wenren, I'm going to relax for 2 days, experience this wonderful world, and feel the aura of the way of heaven. Smack! Han Fei was slapped on the head. I'll show you the wonderful world and the aura of the way of heaven. With that, Wenren suddenly glanced in the direction of the plantation. Xia Shaochan, where are you going? Where can you go? Xia Shaochan bared her teeth and walked out of the plantation. Ms. Wenren, you're here. Wenren glared at her. If I didn't come, would you have gone to heaven? Xia Shaochan quickly said, Ms. Wenren, we were about to go back today. Han Fei nodded. Yes, if we hadn't been delayed by something yesterday, we would have gone back yesterday. Wenren looked at him as if to say, so, now you are living together? Puff. Han Fei immediately said, how is that possible? We're just cultivating here for a few days. Xia Shaochan looked confused. Living together? We've only been living together for a month. Han Fei immediately said to her via voice transmission, idiot, living together means sleeping together. Ah. Xia Shaochan quickly explained, no, we're not sleeping together. Then Xia Shaochan said to Han Fei via voice transmission, why didn't you tell me earlier? Han Fei thought to himself, I didn't expect you to be so straightforward. Wenren nodded. Go back to school and go to class. This is the first time I've heard that a teacher came out to look for students. Le Renhuang went back half a month ago. Han Fei was taken aback and asked, Ms. Wenren, since you know we're back, why are you calling us back now? But why are you calling us back now? Is there something wrong? With that said, Wenren said disdainfully, otherwise, Do you think I wanted to come here? There's a battle I need you to fight. The third chapter. Asking for votes. The author said, this chapter has just begun. Take your time. Don't panic. End of this chapter. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.